I thought I knew my wife better than anyone, trusting, open, and real, but now I'm not sure I ever really knew her at all. It started like any other day. I was at work, and Sarah was out with friends. I didn't think twice about it. Trust was the foundation of our relationship, and I never questioned it. But when I started noticing things, a weird scent in my car, odd excuses for missing time, and the unexplained mileage on my vehicle, it all began to unravel. A part of me wanted to ignore it, but another part knew something wasn't right. My gut was telling me to pay attention, but I was too late. I was never the paranoid type. I wasn't the guy who checked my wife's phone or wondered where she was when she said she was out with friends. I believed in trust, in giving space, in not being that insecure husband who sees cheating in every late-night text or missed call. But looking back now, maybe I should have been. Maybe I should have paid attention to the way things started to shift, the subtle, almost imperceptible changes that, when pieced together, painted a picture I never wanted to see. It began with the car. My car. Sarah always borrowed it, but that wasn't unusual. She hated driving hers, said mine felt smoother, easier to handle. I never minded. What's mine was hers, or at least that's what I thought. Then I started noticing something strange. The mileage began to add up more than usual. I'd fill the tank, and a couple of days later it was nearly empty again. She'd tell me she'd been running errands, or that she'd driven to see my mom. Logical explanations, nothing that seemed worth raising an eyebrow over. But then there was the perfume, the smell that lingered on the seats, the steering wheel, the seatbelt. A scent I didn't recognize. I remember sitting in the driver's seat one morning, gripping the wheel, inhaling deeply. It wasn't Sarah's usual floral scent. This one was richer, more masculine, expensive. I checked the glove compartment, the back seat, even under the floor mats. Nothing out of place, but still, unease settled in my gut like a heavy rock. I told myself it was nothing. I told myself I was just overthinking. Then, last week, the car broke down. It refused to start outside a gas station, leaving me stranded like an idiot. I had it towed to the nearest service shop, an old place run by a guy named Frank. While he checked under the hood, I stood by, scrolling through my phone, trying not to think too hard about anything. "Looks like your battery's fine," Frank said, wiping grease from his hands. "Could be the alternator. You got a dash cam in here?" "Yeah, why?" "Sometimes they pick up weird electrical issues. Want me to check the footage?" That's when my stomach dropped. I had a dash cam. It automatically recorded every time the car was on, and I'd never once checked it. "Sure," I said, forcing my voice to stay even. Frank plugged in a monitor, scrolled through the latest footage, and pressed play. At first, it was just the usual. Sarah getting in, adjusting the mirror, driving off. Then, the next clip started. My wife wasn't alone. A man slid into the passenger seat laughing. His hand landed on her thigh like it belonged there. I froze. My heart slammed into my ribs, hurting with each beat. Sarah turned to him, smiling, saying something I couldn't hear. Then she leaned in and kissed him. Not a peck. Not a quick, casual kiss. It was a kiss full of familiarity, a kiss that told me this wasn't the first time. A kiss that tore my world apart. Frank cleared his throat beside me. You want me to stop it?" I couldn't speak. I couldn't move, because the footage wasn't over. What happened next made my blood run cold. I didn't answer Frank. I couldn't. My brain was trying to process what I was seeing while my body sat there frozen, like if I stayed still long enough, maybe reality would shift and this would all turn out to be some kind of sick joke. But it didn't. The screen kept playing. Sarah pulled back from the kiss, smiling at him in a way I hadn't seen in years. That soft, teasing smile, the one that used to be mine. The man, some guy with dark hair, sharp features, and a cocky expression, ran his hand over her thigh like he owned her. And then she laughed, that light, musical laugh that used to make my chest feel warm, but now it made me sick. Then she said something. I leaned in. my pulse thundering in my ears, trying to make out the words. The dash cam didn't have audio, but I could read her lips well enough. We have time. My vision went red. Frank must have sensed it because he reached over and stopped the footage, muttering something about giving me a minute. I barely registered him walking away. My entire world had just been rewritten in a matter of seconds. I gripped the edge of the counter, breathing hard. My wife, my car, some other guy. They had time. Time for what? I already knew. I didn't want to, but I did. And that's what made it so much worse. I forced myself to click to the next video. The screen flickered and there they were again, still in my car but now parked somewhere. An empty lot maybe, a motel parking lot, somewhere out of sight. The guy leaned over, his mouth moving against her neck, his hands. I slammed my fist against the counter so hard the monitor rattled. Frank came back instantly. Hey man, you good? Good. I wanted to put my fist through a wall. I wanted to grab my phone, call her, demand an explanation. No, not an explanation. I didn't need one. I knew what this was. Save the footage, I said, my voice coming out low and dangerous. All of it. Frank hesitated, eyeing me like I was about to explode. You sure? Yes, because I wasn't just going to confront her. I was going to ruin her. I drove home in silence. No music, no radio, just the sound of my own breathing and the engine humming beneath me. The same engine that had carried her to another man. My hands fell too tight around the wheel, my knuckles stiff. I wasn't even sure how I made it back without running a red light or putting the car into a tree. When I pulled into the driveway, Sarah's car was already there, like nothing had happened, like she hadn't just been exposed for the lying, cheating fraud she was. I sat in the car for a few minutes, watching the house, watching the lights on inside. She was home, probably curled up on the couch scrolling through her phone, completely unaware that I had just seen her for exactly what she was. I could feel my pulse in my throat. I could walk in right now and confront her, demand answers, scream, break something, make her feel what I was feeling. But no, that wasn't enough. I had to be smart. She had been playing me for who knows how long. She thought she had the upper hand, thought I was clueless, some pathetic husband who would never suspect a thing. If I walked in and lost it, she'd twist it, she'd cry, gaslight, turn it into something it wasn't. I wasn't going to let her. I got out of the car, slamming the door just hard enough to announce my presence. The second I stepped inside, the smell of dinner hit me, something with garlic. Her usual go-to when she wanted to make it seem like she'd been home all day, like she was some perfect wife. The act was almost impressive. She was in the kitchen, stirring a pot, glass of wine in one hand, her phone resting on the counter. She glanced up and smiled. Smiled. Hey, babe, she said, like nothing had changed, like I hadn't just watched her let another man put his hands all over her. My stomach turned. Hey, I said, keeping my voice steady. I walked over, kissed her cheek. She didn't pull away, didn't stiffen. No guilt, no hesitation. Just Sarah playing the role she'd been perfecting for who knows how long. Rough day? She asked, taking a sip of wine. You have no idea. Car broke down, I said. Had to take it to the shop. I watched her closely, waited. She blinked, took another sip. Really? What happened? I wanted to laugh. She wasn't even nervous. No flicker of panic, no moment of hesitation, just cool, effortless lies. Alternator, I think. They ran some tests, even checked the dash cam just in case. That got her, a flicker, just a second. Her fingers tightened around the wine glass. She covered it quickly, brushing hair from her face, but I saw it, and now I knew. I exhaled, keeping my voice casual. By the way, Ash, who the hell is the guy you've been screwing in my car? I don't think I'll ever forget the way she froze, like her whole body just stopped working for a second. Then she laughed. Laughed. Are you serious? She scoffed, rolling her eyes. Oh my God, you think I'm cheating because of your dash cam? I stepped closer. I wanted her to look at me, to see that I wasn't playing. I saw everything. She let out a huff, setting her wine down. Oh, come on, you probably saw me driving a friend. You kissed him. That shut her up for a second. I thought she'd finally crack, finally drop the act. But then the smirk. She tilted her head, looking me dead in the eye. Okay, she said slowly. And if I did? Something in my brain snapped. I stared at her, trying to understand if she had actually just said that, if my ears had somehow twisted her words, if maybe my brain was still catching up to reality. But no, she stood there, wine glass abandoned, arms crossed, looking at me like I was the one with a problem, like I was an inconvenience, like she was bored. And if I did? There was no guilt, no shame, no attempt to deny it anymore, just that cold, arrogant look, like I was beneath her. The air in the kitchen felt suffocating, pressing against my skull, making my jaw clench so tightly I thought my teeth might crack. I took a slow step closer, my voice low, dangerously controlled. Say that again. Sarah raised an eyebrow, unfazed. I said if I did, then what? What are you going to do, James? I exhaled sharply, fighting the urge to grab the nearest plate and shatter it against the wall just to break the suffocating silence. She wasn't sorry. She wasn't scared. She wasn't even pretending anymore. You think this is funny? I asked, my voice tight with disbelief. A smirk tugged at the corner of her lips. I think you're overreacting. Overreacting? Overreacting? I had proof. I had seen it with my own eyes, watched her drag some random guy into my car, touch him, kiss him like she hadn't kissed me in years, and I'm overreacting? You're insane, I said, shaking my head. And you're dramatic, she shot back, turning back to the stove as if the conversation bored her. Bored her. I don't see why you're making such a big deal out of this. A big deal? My voice rose, anger bubbling to the surface. Sarah, you cheated on me. You let some guy... She cut me off, spinning around to face me. Yeah, I did. So what? Silence. It hit me like a punch to the chest. She wasn't even trying to justify it. She wasn't apologizing. She just admitted it as if it meant nothing. My hands curled into fists at my sides. Who is he? She rolled her eyes like she was dealing with an inconvenience. Oh my God, James, it doesn't matter. Who is he? I repeated, my voice low and trembling with fury. She sighed theatrically, rubbing her temple like I was an annoying customer at a store she couldn't wait to dismiss. His name is Mark, she said finally, as if it cost her nothing. We've been seeing each other for a while. Happy now? A while? Something inside me snapped. I grabbed the wine glass on the counter and hurled it at the wall. It shattered on impact, the red liquid splashing across the white paint, glass shards raining down onto the tile. Sarah jumped, her eyes wide for the first time, but I wasn't done. I stepped closer, my voice shaking with rage. You've been screwing some guy for a while, and you've been using my car to do it? Are you out of your mind? She blinked, but there was no fear in her eyes. No remorse, just annoyance, as if I was embarrassing her. Jesus, James, she muttered, stepping over the broken glass like it was nothing. This is why I didn't tell you. You're so damn dramatic about everything. My pulse pounded in my ears. You didn't tell me because you're a cheating liar. She shrugged, like it meant nothing to her. And you're a boring husband. Everything stopped. My breath hitched in my throat, my fists tightening, my entire world tilting. She knew what she had just done. I saw it in her eyes. She wanted to hurt me. She wanted me to break. And for a second, I almost did. I stared at her, my entire body tense, every muscle coiled so tight it felt like I'd snap in half. A boring husband. That's what she had the nerve to say to me after everything. After sneaking around, after using my car to screw some random guy. She had the audacity to stand there, arms crossed, looking me in the eye, and tell me I was the problem. Sarah had always been sharp with her words. She knew exactly where to cut, where to dig the knife so it would hurt the most. And this wasn't just some cheap shot in a stupid argument about laundry or forgetting to take out the trash. This was her telling me, "You were never enough." And the worst part? She meant it. I exhaled, forcing myself to stay still, to not grab something else and smash it, to not let her see that she had hit the exact nerve she was aiming for. She watched me, waiting. She wanted a reaction. She wanted me to explode, to yell, to make this about my anger so she could twist it into my fault. Not happening. Instead, I laughed. Low at first, then louder, shaking my head as I looked around at the house I paid for, the kitchen I remodeled, the life I built while she was out screwing some guy named Mark in my damn car. Sarah frowned. "What's so funny?" I met her gaze, letting the laughter die on my lips, my expression going flat. "You," I said simply. "You're funny, Sarah. You really think you're something special, huh?" Her eyes narrowed. "What the hell does that mean?" "It means," I said, stepping closer, lowering my voice just enough to make her lean in. "You've been cheating, lying, and acting like you're some kind of victim in all of this. But let's be real, Ash. You're not some irresistible, untouchable goddess. You're just a pathetic, selfish mess who thinks she's too good for the man who gave her everything." Her lips parted, and for the first time I saw it. Uncertainty, a crack in her confidence, a flicker of doubt. Good. "You don't get to play the poor wife," I continued, my voice steady. "You don't get to act like this is on me. You made your choice. You ruined this marriage. So tell me, Sarah, was it worth it?" Her jaw tightened. "I don't have to explain myself to you." I smiled. "No, you don't. But you will." She scoffed, crossing her arms again, but I saw the shift, the slight panic creeping in around the edges. "You see?" I said, stepping around her and grabbing my phone from the counter. "I already sent the dashcam footage to myself, every second of it, every kiss, every touch, every moment you thought you were getting away with." Sarah paled finally. "And now," I continued, opening my messages, "I think Mark's wife might like to see it too." Her breath hitched. There it was, the fear, the reality crashing down on her. "You wouldn't," she said, her voice lower now. "Careful." I raised an eyebrow. "Oh, but I would." She reached for my arm, but I stepped back. No more touching. No more pretending. "James, wait." "Wait? Wait for what?" I cut her off. "Wait for you to come up with another excuse? Another lie? No, Sarah, you don't get to control the story anymore." Her mouth opened, closed. She was scrambling now, trying to figure out which mask to put on. Anger? Tears? Seduction? None of them would work this time. "Please," she finally said, her voice shaking. "We don't have to do this like this. We can—" I hit send. She gasped. And just like that, her world started to crumble. Sarah lunged for my phone, pure instinct, pure desperation. Her hand shot out, trying to grab it, but I was faster. I stepped back, watching her panic finally crack through the ice-cold arrogance she'd been wearing like armor. "James, no," she said, her voice higher now, breathless. "You don't understand." "I understand perfectly." I shoved my phone into my pocket, keeping my eyes locked on hers. "I understand that you weren't expecting to get caught. I understand that you thought you could keep playing your little games while I stayed here, being your idiot husband." Her chest rose and fell quickly. She looked down at my pocket, calculating. Just give me the phone," she said, softer now, pleading. "Let's talk about this, James, please." I tilted my head. "Now you want to talk?" "Not when I smelled another man's cologne in my car," I continued, stepping closer. "Not when I started noticing the mileage adding up. Not when you laughed in my face and called me boring." "Now you want to talk?" She swallowed hard. It's complicated. No, it's not. My voice was steady, but I could feel the rage boiling just beneath the surface. It's actually really simple. You cheated, you got caught, and now Mark's wife knows what kind of man she married. Sarah flinched. There it was, the real fear. You sent it to her? Her voice cracked. Yeah, I said, savoring the way her world collapsed. And I hope she burns his life to the ground, the same way you just burned ours. Her hands balled into fists. You don't know what you've just done. I laughed, a sharp, mocking sound. Oh, sweetheart, I said, my tone dripping with sarcasm. I know exactly what I've done. Then her face changed. The desperation drained out of her, replaced by something far worse: rage. Real, ugly, vicious rage. You're such a little... She hissed, her mask finally shattering. I should have left you years ago. I smirked, leaning in. Yeah? Then why didn't you... She froze. I took a step closer, my voice cutting through the air like a blade. Because you needed me. You needed my money. You needed a safe little life to crawl back to after you were done spreading your legs for Mark. Her slap came fast, but I was faster. I caught her wrist mid-air, squeezing just enough to make her eyes widen in shock. You don't get to touch me, I said quietly, my voice low and dangerous. Her breath was shaky, not from fear, not yet, but from the realization, from the shock, like she was seeing a side of me she'd never expected, realizing too late that the game was over. You're pathetic, she spat, ripping her wrist away. You think this makes you a man, ruining my life? I laughed again, stepping back to savor the moment. No, Sarah, you ruined your own life. I gestured to the broken wine glass on the floor. And now you get to clean up the mess. I turned to walk out, but she called after me, her voice shaking with barely contained fury. Where are you going? I didn't answer. I didn't have to. I was done. The cold night air hit me like a slap in the face as I stepped outside. My heart was still pounding, my chest tight. Our house felt like a cage behind me, full of the ghost of a marriage that had just died in that kitchen. But I wasn't free yet. My phone vibrated in my pocket. I pulled it out and glanced at the screen unknown number. I already knew who it was. With a steady breath, I answered, pressing the phone to my ear. Mark's wife, came the voice, shaky but firm. Yes, she said, her voice tight with barely contained emotion. Who are you? I leaned against my car, exhaling through my nose. I'm the guy whose wife has been screwing your husband. Silence. Then a sharp inhale, like I just punched her in the gut. You're lying, she whispered, but I heard it. The crack in her voice, the realization setting in. Her world was already falling apart before I even spoke another word. I sent you the proof, I said, cold now, detached. Check your messages. Another long pause, then a click. She was opening the file. I stayed quiet, letting her see what I had seen, letting her feel the same gut-wrenching betrayal that had almost broken me. A choked sob filled my ear, and suddenly it hit me. I wasn't the only one who'd been betrayed. I wasn't the only one watching my life get ripped apart by these two selfish monsters. She gasped for air. I don't understand, she whispered, her voice shaking. He said he was working late. He said... He lied. I let my voice drop, colder now. Just like my wife did. A shuddering breath, then anger. Who is your wife? She asked, voice shaking but sharp. Sarah. A horrible silence, then a bitter, broken laugh. Of course it's her. I frowned, straightening. What do you mean? Another pause, then rage. She's been circling him for months, Mark's wife spat. I saw the way she looked at him, the way she acted whenever we were at events together. She even joked about how some men just can't be tamed. I should have seen it. I should have... Her voice broke. I clenched my jaw. Sarah had been planning this. This wasn't just some reckless, meaningless mistake. She had hunted for this. "I want a divorce," she whispered. "Same," I said, voice flat. Silence stretched between us, heavy and unspoken. Two strangers bound by betrayal standing at the edge of their ruined lives. Then she took a deep breath. "I want to make them suffer." I smirked. "Then we're on the same page." Sarah and Mark thought they could walk away from this, thought they could win. They had no idea what was coming. I hung up, my mind already racing through the possibilities. Sarah and Mark thought they could play their little game, treat us like disposable idiots, and walk away clean. But they had underestimated us. I wasn't just going to leave. I was going to take everything from her. I walked back inside the house, not our home anymore, just four walls full of lies, and found Sarah exactly where I left her, still standing in the kitchen, arms crossed, face twisted with rage. "You sent it to her?" she said, voice shaking. I smirked. "Oh, I did more than that." Her eyes flashed. "You think this is funny?" "Yeah," I said, tilting my head. "Actually, I do." She stormed toward me, shoving me hard against the counter. "You're ruining my life, James." I let out a breathy laugh, looking her dead in the eye. "You ruined your life, sweetheart. I'm just giving it a little push." Her breathing was fast now, shallow, desperate. "So what? You think you're some big man now? You think you can just destroy me?" I leaned in, dropping my voice to a whisper. "I know I can." And that's when I saw it. Fear. Real, raw, genuine fear. Not because she was guilty, not because she felt bad, but because for the first time, she wasn't in control. I turned and walked upstairs, leaving her standing there, shaking. I grabbed a suitcase from the closet, threw it open, and started packing. I wasn't going to waste another second in this house. This was her mess now, her downfall. She stormed into the bedroom just as I zipped up the bag. "Where do you think you're going?" she demanded. I smiled. "Oh, don't worry about me, Sarah." I grabbed my keys, pausing at the doorway to look at her one last time. "Worry about what happens next." And then I walked out. As I stepped into my car, my phone vibrated. Mark's wife. "I have an idea," she said the moment I answered. "Let's destroy them together." I grinned. Now this was going to be fun. I checked into a hotel that night, but sleep was impossible. My body was exhausted, but my mind was on fire, racing through every detail, every move I needed to make next, because this wasn't just about leaving. This was about taking everything from her. The next morning, Mark's wife Lisa called again. "I have access to his accounts," she said, voice steady but furious. "Bank statements, emails, work contracts. I don't know if Sarah is as reckless as Mark, but if she is..." I confirmed, gripping my phone tighter. "Sarah's always been careless when she thinks she's winning." Lisa exhaled sharply. "Good, then let's bury them." And just like that, the plan came together. I took a deep breath, my anger sharpening into focus. "I want her to regret this for the rest of her miserable life." Lisa's voice was ice. "Then let's get to work." Step 1. Financial ruin. Sarah had been comfortable. She liked expensive things, a lifestyle that I provided. The mortgage in my name, the credit cards mine, the car she refused to drive because mine was smoother, also mine. So I made some calls. By the afternoon, the joint accounts were drained, my personal savings moved, every credit card she used canceled. By the evening, I had met with a lawyer. The divorce papers were drafted, infidelity clause locked in. No settlement, no spousal support. Sarah wasn't just going to lose me. She was going to lose everything. Step 2. Public humiliation. Lisa, meanwhile, had gone nuclear. She sent the dash cam footage to Mark's boss, who, as it turned out, had a strict zero-tolerance policy for morality violations. By noon the next day, Mark was fired. Then she sent the footage to his parents, who were furious because, surprise, Mark had borrowed money from them for investment purposes while he was out here renting motel rooms for Sarah. Then, the final blow, she sent it to his gym group chat. Yeah, everyone knew. And Sarah? Her phone started blowing up. Step 3. The final confrontation. I waited until I knew she was in full meltdown mode before I walked back into the house. The second I stepped inside, I heard it, the sound of chaos. Sarah was pacing in the living room, phone in hand, screaming at someone. No, I don't know how it got leaked, Mark. What do you mean you got fired? I smiled, leaning against the doorway. Rough day? She spun around, eyes wild, hair a mess, the perfect picture of a woman whose entire world was crashing down. You! She hissed, pointing at me. You did this! I shrugged. No, Sarah, you did this. I just made sure everyone saw it. Her face twisted with rage. You ruined my life? I laughed. Actually laughed. Oh no, sweetheart, I just leveled the playing field. Her phone rang again. She glanced at it, hesitated for a moment, then tossed it across the room. I chuckled. Not taking Mark's calls anymore? I said, watching her with a mix of amusement and disbelief. She lunged at me, actually lunged, but I stepped aside effortlessly, watching as she stumbled and caught herself on the couch. Then she did something I didn't expect. She dropped to her knees, grabbed my hand, and started crying. James, she whispered, her eyes glossy, lips trembling. Please, we can fix this. I looked down at her, at the woman who had mocked me, lied to me, cheated on me, and laughed in my face, and I smiled. No, Sarah, I said softly, yanking my hand away. We can't. Then I dropped the divorce papers in front of her. Her sobs stopped instantly. She picked them up with trembling hands, scanning the pages. No, this isn't. It is, I said, stepping back and grabbing my car keys. Sign them or don't, either way, I'm done. Her face crumpled, and for the first time I saw it. Not anger, not defiance, regret. Too late, way too late. She stared at the divorce papers like they were a death sentence. And in a way, they were. She had played her game, lied, cheated, humiliated me, and laughed in my face when I confronted her. But now? Now she wasn't laughing. Now she was sitting on the floor of the house I was taking from her, surrounded by the wreckage of her own betrayal. Her lips trembled. James, please. I tilted my head, looking at her as if seeing her for the first time. Please what? She blinked rapidly, trying to summon tears that might have worked on me once, a long time ago. But not anymore. I wasn't that man anymore. Don't do this, she whispered, her voice shaky. I let out a breathy laugh. You really don't get it, do you? I crouched in front of her, lowering my voice just enough to make sure every word hit home. This is mercy, she flinched. I leaned in closer, my tone now dangerously calm. You lost the house. Her breath hitched. You lost the money. Her fingers tightened around the papers. You lost Mark. Her whole body stiffened. Oh yeah, I saved the best for last. I pulled out my phone and scrolled to the latest message from Lisa. A photo. One I'd been waiting for. One that would break Sarah all over again. I turned the screen toward her. It was Mark, sitting outside a coffee shop with his wife and kids. Sarah's face drained of color. See, Sarah, I said, smirking. Mark isn't answering your calls because he's too busy begging Lisa not to take his kids away. I tilted my head. Guess your little relationship wasn't worth ruining his life over after all. A choked sound escaped her lips and I shrugged. Men like him don't leave their wives for women like you. And just like that, the final nail was hammered into the coffin. Her eyes filled with realization. She had nothing left. No money, no house, no affair partner, just consequences. I stood up, brushing imaginary dust off my jacket. Be sure to sign those papers, Ash. The sooner we get this over with, the sooner you can get back to whatever's left of your life." She didn't move, didn't speak. She just sat there, gripping the papers like they were the only thing holding her together. I walked to the door, my chest lighter than it had been in months. Just before I left, I turned back one last time. "You were right about one thing," I said. Her red, puffy eyes lifted to mine. I smiled, cold and final. "You should have left me years ago." Then I walked out, and this time I didn't look back. Now that the truth is out in the open, the real question is, how should we evaluate James's reaction, and what does this story teach us about trust, betrayal, and revenge? When Sarah admitted her affair, it was not just a betrayal of trust, it was a deep wound that James couldn't ignore. The sheer coldness with which Sarah dismissed his pain, brushing off the consequences of her actions, left James in a place where forgiveness seemed impossible. His decision to expose her and even Mark was not driven by anger alone but by the need to reclaim control over his life. Was it vengeful? Perhaps. But can we blame him for wanting to make them feel the weight of their lies? In this situation, the clear moral dilemma is whether seeking revenge is justified when faced with such profound deceit. The truth is, Sarah had built her life on manipulation, using James's trust to further her own desires. But this was not just about a broken marriage. It was about the power dynamics at play. Sarah, used to controlling the narrative, found herself exposed, her perfect world shattering around her. The evidence James had physical, emotional, and digital was his weapon. But should the fallout of exposing her be this harsh? Should revenge always be this thorough? Or is there room for healing and reconciliation? The real lesson here is not just about betrayal, but about the consequences of unchecked control. James was right to take action, but at what cost? The cycle of revenge often leaves both sides broken, even if justice is served. This leaves us questioning, is it possible to truly break free from the past without burning everything to the ground? And should we ever sacrifice our own peace for the satisfaction of retribution? What do you think, everyone? Is revenge ever truly justified? Or does it only make us more like the people who hurt us?
Money has a way of revealing truths people try to hide. I learned this standing outside my father's study, hearing him discuss my future, or rather the lack of one he'd planned for me. "We can't afford both, Linda. Emily's law school has to take priority. Sarah will have to make do with the diner job." My fingers dug into the doorframe as I listened. 22 years of being the family afterthought crystallized in that moment. The golden child, Emily, would get her shot at becoming a prestigious attorney while I'd be slinging hash browns at Pete's diner. "But Robert, we promised both girls we'd help with their education," my mother's voice wavered, weak as always. "Emily has real potential, Sarah. Sarah just needs to be practical." I stepped back from the door, my chest tight with something between rage and vindication. All those years of telling myself I was imagining things, that my parents couldn't possibly favor Emily so blatantly, gone in an instant. The house felt suffocating. I grabbed my keys and jacket, needing to escape before I did something stupid like confront them right then. But fate had other plans. "Sarah, where are you going?" Emily appeared at the top of the stairs, perfect as always in her designer outfit. "Mum's making dinner. Family night, remember?" I almost laughed. "Family night? What a joke." "Not feeling well," I managed, heading for the door. "Wait." Emily descended the stairs, concern etched on her face. "Is everything okay? You look upset." "Everything's fine, just like always, perfect actually, just like you." She flinched at my tone. "What's that supposed to mean?" "Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Just like my future, apparently." "Sarah?" The door slammed behind me with satisfying force. I made it halfway down the driveway before my father's voice boomed from the porch. "Young lady, get back here right now." I turned, seeing him silhouetted in the doorway, my mother and Emily hovering anxiously behind him. 22 years of swallowed words rose in my throat. "Why? So you can tell me to my face that I'm not worth investing in? That Emily's the only one who deserves a future?" His face darkened. "You were eavesdropping." Damn right I was. And I'm glad I did. Finally got some honesty around here. Sarah, please. My mother stepped forward. We can discuss this. Discuss what? How you've spent years funneling everything to Emily while telling me to be practical, to lower my expectations, to settle. Emily's face had gone pale. That's not fair. Life isn't fair, sis. But you wouldn't know about that, would you? My father's voice turned cold. That's enough. You're being childish and ungrateful. Ungrateful? I laughed, the sound harsh even to my own ears. For what? The lifetime of being second best? The constant comparisons? Or maybe I should be grateful for the diner job you've so generously planned for my future. If you'd shown half the dedication Emily has, I got better grades than she did. I worked 2 jobs through high school while she went to dance lessons and tennis camp. I did everything right, and it still wasn't enough. Silence fell. My mother was crying now. Emily looked stricken. And my father just looked disappointed, as usual. If that's how you feel, he said finally, perhaps you should leave until you've calmed down and can be reasonable. Don't worry, I said, backing away. I'm done being reasonable, I'm done being practical, and I'm done being the family disappointment. I got in my car, hands shaking as I turned the key. Through the windshield, I could see them still standing there. The perfect family tableau, minus the inconvenient second daughter who'd finally stopped playing her assigned role. As I drove away, one thought crystallized in my mind: I was going to prove them wrong. And when I did, they'd regret every moment they'd spent underestimating me. I ended up at Aunt Clara's house that night, my hands still shaking as I clutched a cup of chamomile tea. Her Victorian home had always been my sanctuary, filled with antiques and the lingering scent of lavender. Tonight, it felt like my last refuge. Your father called, Aunt Clara said, settling into her worn leather armchair. He seems to think you're being unreasonable. Of course he does. The tea burned my throat. Did he mention the part where they've saved nothing for my education? Or how they expect me to spend my life serving pancakes while Emily becomes a lawyer? Aunt Clara's eyes narrowed. No, he conveniently left that out. A knock at the door made me jump. Aunt Clara touched my shoulder as she passed, her grip surprisingly strong for a woman of 70. I heard murmured voices, then my mother's distinctive pleading tone. Sarah, please, we need to talk. I set down my cup with enough force to splash tea onto the antique coffee table. There's nothing to talk about. My mother appeared in the doorway, looking smaller than usual. Your father didn't mean... Yes, he did. I stood up. He meant every word. He always has. You're both upset. If we could just sit down as a family. We're not a family. We're Emily's support system, and I'm just the backup plan that never quite measured up. Aunt Clara returned, her face set in lines I recognized from childhood, the expression she wore when she was about to shake things up. Linda, she said, sit down. We need to discuss some things. My mother perched on the edge of the sofa, twisting her wedding ring. Clara, this is between us and Sarah. No, it's not. Aunt Clara opened a drawer in her desk, pulling out a thick envelope. Sarah, I've been waiting for the right moment to give you this. I suppose that moment is now. The envelope felt heavy in my hands. Inside was a bank statement showing an account in my name, with a balance that made my eyes widen. I started saving for both you girls when you were born, Aunt Clara said. Your parents knew about Emily's fund, but I kept yours separate. I had a feeling you might need it more. My mother's face went pale. Clara, you had no right. I had every right. I've watched for years as you and Robert poured everything into Emily while Sarah fought for scraps of attention. Well, now she has options. The numbers on the statement blurred as tears filled my eyes. College tuition, a future, freedom. You can't do this, my mother whispered. I already have. Aunt Clara's voice was steel wrapped in silk. Sarah, the money is yours. No strings attached. You can use it for college, start a business, whatever you choose. My mother stood abruptly. Robert will hear about this. Good, Aunt Clara replied. Tell him his sister sees exactly what he's done to his daughters. Both of them. After my mother left, slamming the door behind her, I sat in silence. staring at the statement. "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" I finally asked. "I wanted to see if they'd do the right thing on their own." Aunt Clara sighed. "I should have known better. Emily's fund is separate and safe. This isn't about punishing her, Sarah. It's about giving you the chance you deserve." I thought about Emily, golden child Emily, who'd never had to wonder if she was enough. "They'll try to make me share it with her." "They can try." Aunt Clara's smile was sharp. "But the account is in your name only. I made sure of that." Looking at her, I saw the steel beneath her gentle exterior. She'd been playing the long game, watching and waiting, preparing for this moment. "What do I do now?" I asked. "Whatever you want. That's the beauty of it." She leaned forward. "But might I suggest starting with that business degree you've always dreamed about?" For the first time since overhearing my father's words, I felt something like hope, but mixed with it was something darker, a determination to show them exactly what their practical daughter could do. "They'll never forgive you for this," I said. Aunt Clara's laugh was dry as autumn leaves. "My dear, at my age, forgiveness is far less interesting than justice. Now, shall we look at college applications?" I smiled, feeling the weight of the envelope in my hands. It wasn't just money, it was ammunition. And I intended to use every bullet. 3 months into my first semester at business school, Aunt Clara called with news that made my coffee go cold. Emily's perfect life was imploding, and for once I had a front row seat to the disaster. "Mark was arrested this morning," Aunt Clara said, her voice crackling through the phone. "Securities fraud. It's all over the local news." I switched to speaker and pulled up the news site. There he was, Mark Johnson, Emily's boyfriend of 2 years, being led out of his investment firm in handcuffs. The golden boy who'd charmed our parents at every family dinner was now accused of running a Ponzi scheme that had cost his clients millions. "Emily must be devastated," I said, surprised to find I meant it. "That's not all." Aunt Clara paused. "She knew Sarah. She worked in the firm's legal department. They're investigating her involvement." The satisfaction I'd expected to feel didn't come. Instead, my stomach twisted. "How bad is it?" "Your father's firm is distancing itself. They've put her on indefinite leave. Your parents—" Another pause. "They're selling the lake house to cover her legal fees." The lake house? The same one they'd refused to mortgage for my education. My phone buzzed with another call, Emily's number. I declined it, watching as it immediately lit up again. "She's been trying to reach you," Aunt Clara said. "I'm not ready to talk to her." Sometimes people surprise us, Sarah, even the ones who've hurt us most. I ended the call and sat in silence, watching Emily's name flash on my screen again and again. Finally, I picked up. "Sarah?" Her voice was raw, nothing like her usual polished tones. "I need your help." "That's new." "I deserve that." She took a shuddering breath. "But please just listen. I can't talk to Mom and Dad about this. They wouldn't understand." "Understand what? That their perfect daughter isn't so perfect?" That I knew what Mark was doing, and I looked the other way. The words tumbled out. "I found discrepancies in the paperwork months ago. He convinced me it was just aggressive investment strategy, that everyone did it. I wanted to believe him." "Why are you telling me this?" "Because you're the only one who won't be shocked that I failed." Her laugh was bitter. "You've been expecting it all along, haven't you?" I thought about all the times I'd wished for this, for Emily to fall, for our parents to see her flaws. The reality felt hollow. "The investigators," she continued, "they're offering a deal. If I testify against Mark, they'll grant me immunity. But Mom and Dad, they keep talking about loyalty, about standing by him. They don't understand what he really is." "And what's that?" "A monster in an expensive suit," her voice cracked. "Just like I was a fraud in designer clothes, pretending to be something I'm not." I closed my eyes, remembering all the perfect family photos. Emily always front and center, me relegated to the edges. "Why should I help you?" "Because you're smarter than me, Sarah. You always were. You saw through everything. Our parents, their expectations, this whole facade. I need that clarity now. You want my advice? Take the deal. Burn it all down. Silence stretched between us. Then, will you come with me to the prosecutor's office? I thought about my morning class, the midterm I should be studying for. When? Tomorrow at 9. She hesitated. I know I don't deserve your help. No, you don't. I cut her off. But I'll be there. Not for you. For the truth. After we hung up, I sat staring at my reflection in the darkened window. The sister who'd always lived in Emily's shadow was now the one she turned to for strength. The irony wasn't lost on me. My phone lit up with a text from our father. Emily needs her family united right now. Whatever issues you have with us need to wait. I typed back 4 words. I'll handle it myself. Just like I always had. Tomorrow I'd watch Emily dismantle her perfect life piece by piece. Part of me would enjoy it. I wasn't saint enough to pretend otherwise. But another part recognized something familiar in her voice, the sound of someone realizing their whole life had been built on shadows and lies. I opened my laptop and began researching securities fraud cases. If Emily was going to burn it all down, I'd make sure she did it right. After all, revenge is a dish best served with impeccable legal documentation. The Dean's List notification arrived the same morning as Emily's sentencing. I stared at both messages on my phone, wondering if this was Karma's idea of poetry. Top of my class in business school while my sister faced 18 months of probation and mandatory community service. My father's name lit up my screen. I hadn't spoken to him since the prosecutor's office, but I answered anyway. Your mother and I are having dinner at Lorenzo's tonight, he said, skipping any greeting. We need to discuss Emily's situation. I have exams. This is family, Sarah. More important than any test. I watched students stream past my dorm window, heading to class. Funny how family wasn't more important than Emily's law school when it came to my education. That's not fair. Actually, it's exactly fair. Emily made her choices. She can deal with the consequences. She's lost everything, he said, his voice cracking. Her career, her reputation. And you're still more worried about her than proud of me. The words slipped out before I could stop them. Silence stretched between us. Then, what do you mean? I made Dean's List, first semester of business school, not that you asked. More silence. I could almost see him processing this information, trying to fit it into his worldview where Emily was the achiever and I was the practical one. That's wonderful, Sarah. But right now, Emily needs help. Of course, I laughed, the sound harsh even to my own ears. You know what? I have to go. Good luck with dinner. I ended the call and opened my laptop, pulling up the business proposal I'd been working on. Greg Matthews, the restaurant chain owner who'd given me my first job, had mentioned an internship opportunity. My proposal was due tomorrow. A knock at my door interrupted my thoughts. Emily stood there, looking smaller in jeans and a plain sweater. No more designer labels. Aunt Clara told me about Dean's List, she said. Congratulations. I left the door open, but returned to my desk. Thanks, she hovered in the doorway. Mom and Dad don't get it, do they? How hard you've worked. They don't want to get it. It doesn't fit their narrative. I didn't either. She stepped inside, closing the door. I believed what they believed, that I was the successful one, the one with potential. But you? She picked up one of my textbooks. You're going to surpass everything they ever imagined for me. Is that why you're here? To acknowledge my potential? No. She set the book down. I'm here because Dad called. They're planning to ask you for money tonight for my legal fees. The room seemed to tilt slightly. What? The lake house sale fell through. They're desperate. She wrapped her arms around herself. I told them not to ask you, but they won't listen. They still think they can fix everything for me. I turned back to my laptop, fingers hovering over the keyboard. And what do you think? I think it's time I fix things myself. She moved toward the door. I got a job. Nothing special. Administrative work at a small firm, but it's honest work. Why are you telling me this? Because you were right. About everything. And I wanted you to know that, before they try to drag you back into their version of reality tonight. After she left, I sat staring at my business proposal. The internship would be demanding, 60-hour weeks, intense training, no room for family drama. Exactly what I needed. I opened my phone and typed a message to my father. Can't make dinner. Deadline for an opportunity I can't miss. Emily knows how to reach me if she needs to. Then I turned back to my proposal, adding a final section about navigating complex business relationships and maintaining professional boundaries. Greg Matthews would appreciate the irony, even if he never knew the full story. My phone buzzed with responses from my parents, but I didn't read them. Instead, I focused on my work, letting their messages pile up like the years of expectations I was finally learning to ignore. Sometimes revenge isn't about destroying someone else's dreams. Sometimes it's about building your own, brick by brick, while they watch from the sidelines, finally understanding what they failed to see. Life has a twisted sense of humor. I discovered this standing outside Pete's diner, watching Emily tie on the same apron our father had once intended for me. Her hands shook as she struggled with the strings, her manicured nails a stark contrast against the worn fabric. Greg Matthews stood beside me, his presence a reminder of why we were here. Your sister starts training today? Apparently. I checked my watch. We should head inside. The investment meeting. Can wait 5 minutes. He studied Emily through the window. Interesting choice, her working here. Desperate times. I adjusted my blazer, the fabric smooth and expensive against my skin. It's the only place that would hire her with her record. The bell chimed as we entered. Emily's head snapped up, her eyes widening at my business attire. I pretended not to notice, leading Greg to our usual booth. Sarah. Emily approached, notepad trembling slightly. I didn't know you were coming in today. Monthly investment meeting with Greg, we always have it here. I kept my voice neutral. Coffee black, Greg. The same. He watched Emily hurry away. You didn't warn her? Should I have? The door chimed again. Our parents walked in, stopping short when they saw me. Of course they'd come to support Emily's first day. The irony wasn't lost on me. Sarah? My mother stepped forward. We didn't expect... Clearly. I turned to Greg. The projection reports show a 30% increase in revenue since implementing your new system. My father approached our table, his presence casting a shadow over our papers. You look well, Sarah. The business world suits you. Dad. Emily returned with our coffee, nearly spilling it. It's fine, Emily. I pulled out my laptop. They're here for you, not me. Greg and I have work to discuss. Actually, my father cleared his throat, we hope to speak with both of you about the family trust. The laptop screen blurred slightly. What trust? Your grandfather's. He glanced at Greg. Perhaps we could discuss this privately. Greg's my business partner. Anything you need to say, you can say in front of him. My mother touched Emily's arm. Sweetheart, maybe you should take your break now. The trust, my father continued, was meant to be split between you girls, but with Emily's legal fees and the conditions of her probation, the pieces clicked into place. You want my half? We want to protect your sister's future. Greg set down his coffee cup with deliberate care. Robert, perhaps this isn't the best time. When is the best time? My voice cut through the diner's morning chatter. When Emily needs more money? When you've run out of ways to prop up her mistakes? Sarah, my mother pleaded, she's trying to rebuild. By taking my inheritance, after everything? I stood, gathering my papers. Greg, we should continue this at the office. Sarah, please. Emily stepped forward, still clutching her notepad. I didn't know they were going to do this. I told them not to. Save it. I met her eyes. You know what's funny? Dad always said I should work here because it was practical, because it was all I could hope for. Now look at us. My father's face darkened. That's enough. No, it's not enough. I turned to Greg. You know why I work so hard? Why I've doubled our profits in 6 months? Because they taught me that nothing would ever be handed to me. And they were right. The diner had gone quiet, other customers pretending not to watch the drama unfolding. Keep the trust, I said, gathering my things. Consider it payment for showing me exactly who I could become by being nothing like any of you. Greg followed me out, waiting until we reached the car to speak. That was quite a scene. I apologize. It won't affect our business. Sarah. He touched my shoulder. I'm promoting you to regional manager. You've earned it, and clearly you need to get as far from this town as possible. I gripped my laptop, knuckles white. Through the diner window, I could see Emily wiping tables while our parents hovered nearby, still trying to fix her life while mine expanded beyond their reach. When do I start? How fast can you pack? I smiled, feeling lighter than I had in years. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about getting even, it's about getting away. 6 months into my role as regional manager, Aunt Clara died. The news came via text from Emily, of all people. 3 words that shattered my carefully constructed new life. Aunt Clara's gone. I stood in my office overlooking the Chicago skyline, my reflection ghostly in the window. The quarterly reports I'd been reviewing blurred into meaningless shapes. My phone buzzed again. Emily. The funeral's Saturday. She left something for you. I booked the first flight home, arriving to find my parents' car already in Aunt Clara's driveway. Of course they'd be here, probably already dividing up her possessions like they'd tried to divide my inheritance. The key was still under the ceramic frog where she'd always kept it. Inside, voices drifted from her study. We have to tell her, my mother was saying, before she finds out some other way. Tell me what? I stepped into the doorway. They jumped, guilty faces turning toward me. Emily sat in Aunt Clara's chair, holding a familiar envelope. Sarah, my father stepped forward. We didn't expect you so soon. Clearly. I noticed the open safe behind the desk, papers scattered across the surface. What are you doing? Emily held up the envelope. Aunt Clara left letters. And recordings. And she recorded everything, my mother whispered. All our conversations about you and Emily, about the college fund, about how you planned to use me as Emily's backup plan. The words tasted bitter. I already knew that. No. Emily's voice cracked, about how they planned to use both of us, how they manipulated everything, played us against each other. Even Aunt Clara's money was part of their plan. The room tilted slightly. What? My father reached for me. Sarah, we can explain. Don't touch me. I snatched the envelope from Emily. Inside was a USB drive and a letter in Aunt Clara's elegant handwriting. My dearest Sarah, it began. By now you've discovered that your parents' manipulation runs deeper than you imagined. The money I gave you wasn't just savings. It was evidence. Every transaction, every conversation recorded. Your father's firm has been embezzling funds for years, using both you and Emily as unwitting covers. The letter dropped from my trembling hands. You used us. Both of us. We were trying to protect the family, my father said. The firm was failing. So you set Emily up with Mark, knowing he was running a Ponzi scheme. Let her take the fall while you cleaned up the evidence. Emily made a small, broken sound. They knew. All along they knew what Mark was doing. And me? I turned to my mother. Was anything real? Or was I just another piece in your game? We're still your parents, she pleaded. Everything we did was for the family. I laughed, the sound harsh and foreign. No, it was for you. For your reputation, your lifestyle, your precious image. My phone buzzed. Greg Matthews calling. Probably wondering why his regional manager had suddenly flown cross-country without explanation. Sarah, Emily stood up. Aunt Clara left something else. Evidence that could expose everything. She wanted us to decide together what to do with it. I stared at my sister, seeing not the golden child who'd had everything handed to her, but another victim of our parents' schemes. You knew, I said to Emily, about the recordings. That's why you've been reaching out. She nodded. Aunt Clara told me last month she wanted us to know the truth before she couldn't tell us herself. My phone buzzed again. Greg's name flashed on the screen, a reminder of the life I'd built, the success I'd achieved thinking it was all to prove my parents wrong. But they'd known. They'd planned it all. probably counting on my drive to succeed, on Emily's fall from grace, on our predictable reactions to their careful manipulations. "Sarah," Emily's voice was small, "what do we do now?" I looked at our parents, these strangers who'd orchestrated our entire lives like some twisted chess game, then at Emily, who'd lost everything only to discover she'd never really had it to begin with. My phone buzzed a third time. "We do what Aunt Clara wanted," I said finally. "We decide together, but this time we make our own moves." The USB drive felt heavy in my hand, carrying the weight of truths that could destroy what remained of our family, or finally set us free. The conference room at Matthew's restaurant group felt too small for the weight of what we were about to do. Emily sat beside me, her waitress uniform replaced by a borrowed business suit, while Greg Matthews studied the USB drive's contents displayed on the projection screen. "This is more than embezzlement," Greg said, pausing on a particularly damning spreadsheet. "Your father's firm was running a sophisticated fraud scheme for years, using both his daughters as unwitting accomplices," Emily added, her voice hollow. "The perfect cover story." The door opened. Our parents walked in, followed by their lawyer. My father's confident stride faltered when he saw Emily sitting beside me. "What is this about, Sarah?" He tried to take control, as always. "Your mother and I have a charity function." "Sit down," my voice cut through his pretense. "You're going to want to hear this." Greg clicked to the next slide. Our father's signature on documents linking his firm to Mark's Ponzi scheme. Evidence of shell companies set up in both Emily's and my names. "Where did you get these?" The lawyer leaned forward. "Aunt Clara kept receipts." I met my father's eyes. "All of them." "This is absurd," he blustered. "Emily, surely you don't believe—" "I testified against Mark," Emily interrupted. "I can testify against you, too." Our mother's perfectly manicured hands trembled. "We were protecting you both." "By making me the fool guy?" Emily's laugh was bitter. "By pushing Sarah into the restaurant business so you'd have a legitimate front for laundering money?" I placed 2 folders on the table. Option 1. We turn everything over to the FBI. You go to prison, the firm collapses, and the Thompson name becomes synonymous with fraud. Option 2. Our father's lawyer asked quickly. You sign these papers transferring control of the firm to Emily and me. You retire quietly, move to that beach house in Florida you bought with stolen money and never contact us again. You can't be serious. Our father stood. Everything I built was built on lies. I remained seated, calm. Everything you made us believe about ourselves, about each other, it was all part of your game. We're your parents, our mother pleaded. We love you. No, Emily's voice cracked. You loved what we could do for you. There's a difference. Greg cleared his throat. The FBI has been notified. They're waiting for our call. You have 10 minutes to decide. Our father reached for the folders, but I pulled them back. One more thing. The diner, Pete's. You're signing it over to the staff. They've earned it. The diner? He looked confused. What does that matter now? It matters because it's where this started. Where you thought I belonged. I smiled. Consider it karma. The minutes ticked by. Emily gripped my hand under the table as our parents whispered with their lawyer. Finally, our father picked up a pen. You'll regret this, he said, signing. Someday you'll understand. We already understand. Emily took the pen, adding her signature where needed. That's the problem. After they left, Greg studied the signed papers. You realize you've just become CEO of a major investment firm. Co-CEO, I corrected, looking at Emily. If you want it. She straightened her borrowed blazer. I did pass the bar exam even if I never practiced. Besides, someone needs to clean up their mess. And you? Greg asked me. Still interested in running my restaurant chain? I thought about the diner, about all the paths that had led us here. Actually, I have some ideas about expansion. Emily's firm could provide the capital. Legal capital, Emily added with a faint smile. We walked out together, leaving our parents' lawyer to pack up his briefcase. Outside, the sun was setting over the city skyline. Was this the revenge you wanted? Emily asked softly. No, I admitted. It's better. They wanted us to compete, to tear each other down. Instead we're building something new. She squared her shoulders. Together. I nodded, watching our parents' car disappear into traffic. Sometimes the best revenge isn't about destroying what others built. It's about building something they never thought possible. The key to Aunt Clara's house felt heavier than usual as I unlocked the door one last time. The realtor's sign in the yard cast long shadows in the evening light. Inside, most of the furniture was gone, leaving only the essentials Emily and I had decided to keep. Her footsteps echoed behind me as we entered the study. Found something else in the safe, she said, holding up a DVD case. It's labelled, for Sarah and Emily, after. We sat on the floor using my laptop to play the disc. Aunt Clara's face filled the screen, recorded months before her death. My dear girls, she began, if you're watching this, you've discovered the truth about your parents. But there's one more thing you need to know. Emily gripped my arm as Aunt Clara continued. Your parents didn't just manipulate you. They manipulated me too. Made me think I was protecting you by keeping their secrets. It took me too long to realize that protection sometimes means letting the truth hurt. The camera shifted, showing documents, recordings, a lifetime of evidence gathered not just against our parents, but against an entire network of fraud. I'm not proud that I waited, Aunt Clara's voice continued, but I wanted you both strong enough to handle what came next. Sarah, your business acumen. Emily, your legal knowledge. Together, you're more powerful than they ever imagined. Emily paused the video. She planned this. All of it. No, I said, understanding finally. She gave us the tools to plan it ourselves. We watched the rest in silence. When it ended, I closed the laptop, looking around the study where everything had started. The diner staff signed the ownership papers today, Emily said. They're renaming it Clara's. I smiled, remembering our father's dismissal of my potential, his insistence that the diner was all I could hope for. Now it would stand as a monument to the aunt who'd seen what he couldn't. The FBI wants to interview Dad again, Emily continued. They found connections to 3 more investment firms. Let them. We have our own empire to build. She studied me. Do you ever wonder if we're just playing into their hands, becoming what they wanted us to be? No. I stood, running my fingers along Aunt Clara's empty desk. They wanted us to compete, to tear each other down. Instead, we're stronger together. Emily joined me at the desk. The board meeting's tomorrow. Ready to announce the merger. Matthews Thompson Holdings. I tested the words. Think Greg will mind being the junior partner? He's getting 3 new restaurant locations out of the deal. He'll survive. We gathered our things, preparing to leave Aunt Clara's house for the last time. At the door, Emily hesitated. Sarah, that night you overheard Mom and Dad talking about the diner. Was that really when everything changed? I thought about it, remembering the anger, the hurt, the years of feeling second best. No. Everything changed when I stopped letting their version of me define who I could become. And who are you now? The question hung in the air as I locked the door. Through the window I could see Aunt Clara's garden still blooming despite her absence. I'm someone who knows the difference between revenge and justice, I said finally. And more importantly, I'm someone who knows which one matters more. Emily nodded, understanding. We walked to our separate cars, headed to our separate homes, but connected now by something stronger than shared pain or shared triumph. I started my engine, watching Emily pull away first. Tomorrow we'd face the board, announce the merger, begin building something neither our parents nor Aunt Clara could have imagined. But tonight, in the quiet of Aunt Clara's empty house, I felt the last pieces of my old self, the angry, overlooked second daughter, finally fall away. The truth about revenge isn't that it heals you. It's that sometimes in pursuing it, you find something better. The power to rewrite your own story, on your own terms. I pulled away from the curb, leaving Aunt Clara's house and all its ghosts behind. Ahead lay the future we'd chosen, not the one chosen for us. And that, more than any revenge, was the sweetest victory of all.
$2,000. The price tag dangles from the cream-colored leather handbag like a noose around my neck. My mother-in-law, Margaret, stands beside me, her manicured fingers stroking the designer logo as if it were a beloved pet. I'm Sawyer, and this moment in the boutique marks the beginning of my personal hell. Ryan promised I could have it for my birthday, Margaret says, her voice dripping with the sweetness that makes my teeth ache. He told me you'd take care of it today, dear. Of course he did. My unemployed husband, who lost his consulting job 3 weeks ago, is still making grand promises to Mommy Dearest. The same husband who just this morning reminded me we needed to dip into our savings for the mortgage payment. Did he mention we're behind on our property taxes? The words slip out before I can stop them. Margaret's face tightens, that familiar flash of disapproval crossing her features. Money troubles are so common, she says, waving her hand dismissively. Ryan assured me you're doing quite well with the bookshop. I grip my own worn leather purse tighter. The bookshop barely breaks even most months. You know this, Margaret. You live with us. Temporarily, she corrects, as if her 6-month stay hasn't already stretched to 14 months. And I've been nothing but helpful, watching the house while you work those long hours. The saleswoman hovers nearby, perfectly coiffed and probably sensing the tension. I catch my reflection in one of the store's many mirrors, exhaustion etched around my eyes, my brown hair hastily pulled back. I look exactly like what I am, a small business owner drowning in other people's expectations. My phone buzzes. Ryan's text reads, "Did Mom get her bag? She's been talking about it for weeks." I type back, "We can't afford this." His response is immediate. "Please, Sawyer, I promised her. I'll figure something out." Figure something out. Like he figured out the cruise he bought her last Christmas? The one still sitting on our credit card? Margaret, I start, trying to keep my voice steady. I think we should discuss this with Ryan first. She clutches the bag closer. But he's already promised. You wouldn't want to make him break his word to his own mother, would you? Especially after everything I've done for you both? The manipulation is so obvious it would be laughable if it wasn't so effective. Ryan will cave. He always does. And somehow I'm the one who ends up paying the price. I'm sorry, I tell the saleswoman. We won't be taking it today. Margaret's face crumples like expensive tissue paper. I'll just call Ryan myself. She steps away, phone already in hand, and I hear her voice shift to that trembling tone she uses to get her way. Ryan, sweetheart, your wife is being difficult. My phone lights up again. Ryan, just buy it. I'll make it up to you. The fury rises in my chest, hot and familiar. This is the moment. Standing in this overpriced boutique, watching my mother-in-law orchestrate yet another financial disaster, when something inside me finally snaps. I walk out of the store, Margaret's protests fading behind me. By the time I reach my car, I've received 6 messages from Ryan, each more desperate than the last. The last one reads, "Please go back. You know how she gets." Yes, I do know how she gets. I know exactly how they both get. And for the first time, I realize I'm done playing this game. The handbag isn't just a handbag. It's every boundary crossed, every manipulation accepted, every financial burden I've shouldered while they play their twisted mother-son routine. I start the car, my hands steady on the wheel. They want to talk about prices? Fine. It's time they learned that everything, especially karma, comes with a price tag. And I'm about to make sure they pay in full. The sound of Margaret's designer heels clicking against our hardwood floors has become my personal metronome of misery. 3 hours since the boutique incident, and she's been pacing, making phone calls, and letting out theatrical sighs that could rival a Victorian drama. I'm chopping vegetables for dinner with more force than necessary when Ryan finally comes home. The front door closes softly, too softly. He's trying to avoid confrontation, which means Margaret has already worked her magic. Sawyer? His voice carries that placating tone I've grown to hate. Can we talk? The knife comes down hard on a carrot. About how you promised your mother a $2,000 handbag with money we don't have? He steps into the kitchen, loosening his tie, the one he still wears to job interviews that go nowhere.
I know the timing isn't great, but the timing? The laugh that escapes me sounds foreign. Ryan, we're eating ramen noodles 3 nights a week while your mother orders takeout from that overpriced bistro downtown. She's going through a difficult adjustment period. 14 months is not an adjustment period. It's a lifestyle. Margaret's footsteps pause outside the kitchen. I know she's listening. She always is. I had 3 interviews today, Ryan says, changing tactics. 2 of them looked promising. Once I'm working again? Will what? Keep enabling her? Keep drowning in debt while she lives like a queen in our guest room. That's enough. Margaret glides into the kitchen, perfectly timed as always. I won't stand here and listen to you disparage my son when he's trying his best. I set down the knife. Your best? Is that what you call making promises with my money? Our money, Ryan corrects. No. I turn to face them both. My money, my bookshop, my house that I bought before we were married, the house you both seem to forget I own. Margaret's face does that thing where she looks both wounded and superior. After everything I've sacrificed. Sacrificed? The word tastes bitter. Like the sacrifice of using my credit card to buy yourself a spa day last week? Ryan's head snaps up. What? Oh, didn't Mommy Dearest tell you? She borrowed my card for emergencies. Apparently a hot stone massage qualifies. Margaret's composure cracks slightly. I was going to pay you back. With what money? I pull out my phone, pulling up the banking app. Should we go through the list? The restaurants, the shopping, That's private. Margaret steps forward, reaching for my phone. Private? Like the $300 you spent at that boutique last month? Or the wine club membership you signed up for using my card? Ryan's face has gone pale. Mom? She doesn't understand, Margaret says quickly, touching his arm. I've been so lonely since your father passed. Shopping helps me cope. Don't. I hold up my hand. Don't you dare use his death as an excuse for this. The silence that follows is deafening. Ryan looks lost, caught between his mother's manipulation and the truth he can't ignore. Margaret's mask slips further, showing the desperation beneath. I'm making changes, I announce, my voice steady. Starting tomorrow, my credit cards are off limits. No more shopping, no more restaurants, no more... You can't do that to me, Margaret's cry is sharp. Ryan, tell her she can't. I can and I will. I turn back to my vegetables. And if you don't like it, there's a lovely extended stay hotel downtown. Ryan! Margaret's voice rises an octave. Are you going to let her treat your mother this way? I wait, knife poised over another carrot for my husband's response. In the silence, I can hear the years of manipulation, the weight of expectations, the cost of keeping peace. Maybe, Ryan says slowly, we should look at the credit card statements. Margaret's gasp is genuine this time. You're taking her side? I'm not taking sides, Mom. I just think... You never think, she snaps. That's your problem. You let her control everything while I... The knife comes down one final time. Dinner's ready, I announce, cutting through their argument. Though I doubt it's up to your standards, Margaret. Maybe you should order in, on your own card this time. I leave them standing in the kitchen, their reflections distorted in the window above the sink. As I climb the stairs to our bedroom, I hear Margaret's muffled sobs and Ryan's attempts to comfort her. Let them comfort each other, I think. I have accounts to check and plans to make. Because this isn't just about money anymore, it's about power, and I'm done giving mine away. The bank statement trembles in my hands as I sit in my bookshop's back office. Numbers don't lie, but people do. And Margaret's lies are spelled out in transaction after transaction, a digital trail of deceit that makes my stomach turn. My brother Caleb leans against my desk, his attorney's eyes scanning the document. $10,000 in 3 months? That's just what I've found so far. I pull up another statement on my computer. Look at these charges. Designer boutiques, jewelry stores, wine clubs, all while Ryan's been unemployed. And these are all from your accounts? My business account. The words taste like acid. The one I gave her emergency access to when she first moved in. For groceries, she said. for household expenses. Caleb whistles low. This could be considered financial fraud, Sawyer. A customer's bell chimes from the front of the store. Through the office window, I watch Emma, my best friend, handle the sale. She's been covering more shifts lately, sensing something's wrong. I trusted her, I say, more to myself than Caleb. I actually believed she was trying to help us through Ryan's unemployment. Speaking of Ryan, Caleb shifts uncomfortably. Does he know? He's too busy defending her to see what's right in front of him. I pull up another document. But this is what really interests me. Look at these transfers. Caleb leans in, frowning. To an account in the Cayman Islands? 3 separate transfers, $5,000 each. My voice stays steady, though my hands shake. I found emails on the shared computer. She's been moving money offshore for months. The shop bell rings again. This time, Margaret herself walks in, wearing a new silk scarf I definitely didn't buy her. She spots me through the window and waves, all innocence and charm. I need to confront her, I say. Caleb grabs my arm. Wait, you need to be smart about this. Get your evidence in order. Protect your assets. She's stealing from me, Caleb, right now, today. I pull away from him. I'm done waiting. I stride out of the office, past Emma's worried glance, straight to where Margaret browses the new releases. We need to talk, I say. She looks up, that practiced confusion on her face. About what, dear? About the $10,000 you've stolen from my business account. The book in her hands drops. Behind me, Emma quietly ushers the last customer out, flipping the store's sign to closed. I don't know what you're talking about, Margaret says, but her voice wavers. I pull out my phone, start reading. 3,000 at Nordstrom, 2,000 at that jewelry boutique downtown, 5,000 transferred to account number. Stop. Her mask cracks. You don't understand. I understand perfectly. You're a thief. I needed it. The words burst from her like she's been holding them back. After Gerald died, the insurance wouldn't pay. There were debts. So you decided to create more? With my money? I was going to pay it back. She reaches for my arm, but I step away. Once Ryan gets a new job, Ryan can barely pay our mortgage. The laugh that escapes me is harsh. But you knew that when you bought those first-class tickets to Miami last week, didn't you? Her face changes, calculation replacing desperation. If you tell Ryan about this, it'll destroy him? Is that what you want? To hurt your husband? Don't you dare try to manipulate this. I step closer, lowering my voice. You have 24 hours to tell Ryan everything, or I will. And trust me, my version will come with bank statements and police reports. You wouldn't dare. Try me. I meet her eyes, seeing real fear there for the first time. 24 hours, Margaret, and then we'll see who destroys whom. She backs away, grabbing her designer purse, probably bought with my money, and hurries out of the store. Through the window, I watch her pull out her phone, presumably to call Ryan. That was intense, Emma says behind me. I turn to find her and Caleb watching me with matching concerned expressions. It's about to get worse, I say, picking up Margaret's dropped book, a self-help guide about overcoming addiction. Much worse. Because I know Margaret won't tell Ryan the truth. She'll spin a story, play the victim, try to turn him against me. But this time, I'm ready. This time, I have proof. And sometimes, revenge is as simple as telling the truth. The manila envelope sits on my kitchen table like a loaded gun. Inside are printouts of every transaction, every transfer, every lie Margaret has woven into our lives. 23 hours have passed since my ultimatum, and the house remains silent, heavy with unspoken accusations. Emma sits across from me, her coffee untouched. Have you heard from Ryan? Radio silence. I trace the envelope's edge. He didn't come home last night. And Margaret? Locked in her room since yesterday. I heard her on the phone all night, speaking in whispers. A notification pings on my laptop. Another transfer alert. I open the banking app and my hands start shaking. She's doing it again, I say, turning the screen toward Emma. Right now, another 5,000 to the same offshore account. Emma leans forward, designer's eyes scanning the details. She's getting desperate. She's getting bold. I pull up another window. Look at this email I found. There are more accounts, Emma. In Switzerland, in the Bahamas. This goes way beyond shopping addiction. You need to call Caleb. I already did. I closed the laptop. He's drawing up papers to freeze all my accounts, but the banks won't open for another hour. Footsteps creak overhead. Margaret, finally emerging. The stairs groan under her descent, each step measured and deliberate. When she appears in the doorway, she's perfectly put together, as always. Only the slight tremor in her hands betrays her anxiety. "Good morning, dear," she says, voice honey-sweet. "And Emma, what a lovely surprise." "Save it," I say. "Where's Ryan?" "Oh, he needed some time to think." She moves to the coffee maker, her designer robe swishing. "He was quite upset about your accusations." "Facts," I correct her. "Bank statements don't lie." She turns, coffee cup poised. "No, but people do. Have you told Ryan about your little side project with Emma yet? The one you've been working on during business hours?" My blood runs cold. Emma shifts in her chair. "That's different." "Is it?" Margaret's smile is razor sharp. "Using company time and resources for personal gain? Sounds familiar, doesn't it?" "We're designing book covers," Emma interjects. "It's related to the business." Without declaring the income, Margaret sips her coffee. My, what would the IRS say? The threat hangs in the air. I stand slowly, understanding dawning. "You've been planning this," I say. "All along, you've been gathering ammunition." "Insurance, dear. We all need it." She sets down her cup. "Now, about those bank statements." "No." The word comes out stronger than I expect. "You don't get to blackmail me with my own business." Then we understand each other. She moves toward the door. "I'll tell Ryan you send your love." After she leaves, Emma reaches across the table. "Sawyer, get me my phone." My voice sounds distant to my own ears. "I'm calling Caleb again, and the police." "The police?" But she just threatened. "Exactly." I pull out a USB drive from my pocket. And I recorded every word. Emma's eyes widen. "You knew she'd try something like this?" "I knew she'd get cocky." I plugged the drive into my laptop. But she made a mistake. She admitted to knowing about the offshore accounts, on tape. "What about your side business?" "It's legitimate. Declared. Filed." I meet Emma's gaze. "I've been planning too." My phone buzzes, Ryan's name flashing on the screen. For the first time in hours, I smile. "Let the games begin," I murmur, reaching for the phone. Because Margaret isn't the only one who knows how to play the long game. She taught me well, too well. And now it's time to show her exactly what revenge looks like when you push someone too far. I answer the call, voice steady. "Ryan, we need to talk about your mother's offshore accounts." The sharp intake of breath on the other end tells me everything I need to know. Margaret may have taught me about manipulation, but she never learned the most important lesson. Sometimes the truth is the deadliest weapon of all. And I'm done playing defense. The divorce papers feel heavier than they should, tucked inside my laptop bag as I enter our favorite coffee shop. Ryan sits at our usual corner table, his shoulders tight with tension. He hasn't noticed me yet, too busy staring into his untouched coffee like it holds answers. 3 days since I revealed Margaret's offshore accounts. 3 days of silence, punctuated only by hushed phone calls and slammed doors. "You came," he says as I slide into the seat across from him. His voice sounds hollow, aged. "Did you think I wouldn't?" "Honestly, I don't know what to think anymore." He pushes a folder across the table. "I found these in Mom's room." Inside are bank statements, but not mine. These show transfers from accounts I've never seen, dating back years before Gerald's death, before our marriage, before everything. "Your father's signature," I note, pointing to a document. "But these dates..." He was dead by then. Ryan's hands shake as he reaches for his coffee. "She forged them, used his identity to open accounts, take out loans." "Ryan, there's more." He pulls out his phone, slides it toward me. On the screen is an email chain between Margaret and someone named James Sullivan. The subject line reads, Gerald's life insurance policy." My stomach drops as I read. She falsified his death certificate, changed the date, made it look like he died 6 months later than he did. Ryan's laugh is bitter. All so she could keep collecting his pension, his social security, using my dead father like some kind of ATM. The coffee shop bustles around us, oblivious to our world crumbling. A barista calls out orders. Someone laughs too loudly. I confronted her, Ryan continues. She said she did it for me, to maintain our lifestyle, to make sure I had opportunities. And you believe her? I don't know what to believe anymore. He meets my eyes for the first time. But I know you were right. About everything. The divorce papers in my bag seem to pulse, demanding attention. But something stops me from pulling them out. There's something else, Ryan says, his voice dropping. The police came to the house this morning. Apparently some of that money. It wasn't just from Dad's accounts. My phone buzzes. Caleb calling. I silence it. What do you mean? Remember that charity foundation Mom started after Dad died? The one for underprivileged students? Ryan's voice cracks. It was a front. She was laundering money through it, using my father's reputation to... He breaks off as my phone buzzes again. This time it's Emma. You should get that, he says. I answer. Emma's voice comes through, breathless. Sawyer, turn on the news, now. Ryan's already pulling up a news site on his phone. The headline makes my blood freeze. Local charity foundation under investigation for fraud. Former teacher and widow implicated in $1 million scheme. She's gone, Ryan says quietly. Left a note saying she's sorry, that she never meant for it to go this far. The divorce papers suddenly feel meaningless. This isn't about revenge anymore. This is about survival. The police, I start, but Ryan cuts me off. They'll want to talk to us both, about the accounts, the transfers, everything. He reaches across the table, takes my hand. I know you have divorce papers in your bag. I don't blame you. But right now, I need your help, please. The word hangs between us, heavy with implications. My carefully planned revenge is dissolving, replaced by something more complicated, more dangerous. My phone buzzes again. Caleb, probably with legal advice we desperately need. The news ticker on Ryan's phone keeps scrolling. Multiple victims, pension fraud, charitable donations misappropriated. What do you want to do? Ryan asks. I look at him, really look at him. The man I married, broken by his mother's betrayal, asking for help instead of enabling her for the first time in his life. The divorce papers can wait. Right now, we need to decide. Do we run from Margaret's mess or stay and face the storm? I reach for my phone, meeting Ryan's gaze. First, we call my brother. Then we find your mother. Because if we don't, she'll drag us both down with her. And somehow I know this is just the beginning. The text message comes at midnight. I know where she is. Ryan's words glow on my phone screen as I stand in our emptied bedroom, surrounded by packed boxes and echoing silence. Caleb warned me not to get involved. Let the police handle it, he said, but the police are already questioning my involvement in Margaret's charity foundation. 3 days of interrogations have left me raw, exposed. I text back, where? The lake house, Dad's old place. Of course, the property Margaret claimed she'd sold years ago. Another lie in her web of deception. I'm going there, Ryan writes. Now. Wait for me. The drive takes 40 minutes. Ryan's car is already in the gravel driveway when I arrive, but something feels wrong. The front door stands open, spilling yellow light into the darkness. Inside, the air smells stale, like unopened rooms and secrets. Ryan? In here. His voice carries from the study, tight with emotion. I find him standing over Margaret, who sits in Gerald's old leather chair, like a queen on her throne. She's wearing the cream-colored designer dress she bought with my stolen money, perfectly pressed despite everything. Hello, dear, she says, as if this is just another family dinner. I wondered when you'd both arrive. It's over, Mom, Ryan's voice cracks. The police are coming. I called them before Sawyer got here. Margaret's smile doesn't waver. Did you really think I didn't have a plan? She reaches into her desk drawer, and my heart stops. But instead of a weapon, she pulls out a thick manila envelope. Insurance, she says, sliding it across the desk. Against both of you. Ryan grabs the envelope, opens it. His face goes pale. What is it? I ask. Transfer records, Margaret answers for him, showing how you both helped me move money through the foundation. Your signatures, your accounts, your complicity. These are forged, I say, but my voice sounds weak even to me. Are they? She stands, smoothing her dress. Ryan, darling, whose idea was it to use the bookshop as a front for cash deposits? And Sawyer, those offshore accounts you discovered? They're in your name too, thanks to some careful paperwork. The room spins. I grab the desk for support. You planned this, Ryan whispers. All of it. I protected us, Margaret corrects him, like I always have, since before your father died. A siren wails in the distance, growing closer. The police are coming, I say. These forgeries won't hold up. Won't they? Margaret's smile turns sharp. Your brother Caleb helped set up the foundation's legal structure. Emma designed all our materials. Everyone's implicated, dear. Everyone's dirty. The sirens are closer now. Red and blue lights flash through the windows. You have a choice, Margaret continues. Stay and try to explain everything to the police, or... She holds up a set of keys. My car's out back, packed with enough cash to start over, enough for all of us. You're insane, I breathe. I'm practical. She turns to Ryan. Choose, darling, your wife's righteous revenge or your mother's protection. But choose quickly. The front door crashes open. Voices call out, Police! Anyone inside? Ryan looks at me, then at his mother. In his eyes, I see the same lost little boy who always needed her approval. Ryan, I plead, don't! But he's already moving toward Margaret, taking the keys from her hand. I'm sorry, he whispers to me. Footsteps thunder through the house. Margaret's smile widens as she takes Ryan's arm. Last chance, dear, she says to me. Family stands together. The study door bursts open. Officers flood in, weapons drawn. Hands where we can see them. I raise my hand slowly, watching as Ryan and Margaret do the same. But Margaret's still smiling, and I finally understand why. Because in trying to expose her lies, I've become tangled in them. In seeking revenge, I've given her the perfect weapon against me. And now, standing in Gerald's study with police surrounding us, I realize the terrible truth. Sometimes the price of revenge isn't just karma. Sometimes it's everything you have left. The interrogation room's fluorescent lights cast harsh shadows across Margaret's face as she sits across from me, her designer dress replaced by prison orange. 3 days since our arrest, and she still manages to look composed, unbreakable. Sign the confession, I say, sliding the papers across the metal table. Admit what you did to Gerald's accounts. She glances at the documents, then back at me. And why would I do that? Because I found Gerald's real files. The USB drive sits between us like a loaded gun. The ones you thought you destroyed. For the first time, her mask slips. Just slightly. Ryan's outside, I continue. He knows everything. About Gerald's life insurance, the forged death certificate, You turned my son against me. Her voice carries a dangerous edge. No, your lies did that. The door opens. Caleb enters, followed by 2 detectives. My brother's face is grim as he sets down his briefcase. The forensic accountants finished their review, he announces. They found something interesting in Gerald's old home office. Margaret's fingers twitch. That office was cleared out years ago. Behind the drywall, Caleb continues, a safe with very detailed records. Gerald's dead, Margaret snaps. Whatever you found is dated after his death. I lean forward. In your handwriting. She laughs, but it sounds hollow. You can't prove... Actually, one detective interrupts, we can. Your husband suspected you, Margaret. He kept records, secret recordings, right up until the day he really died. The color drains from her face. He knew, I say softly, about the money, the fraud, all of it. And he left evidence everywhere. Insurance against you. You're lying, but her voice wavers. Sign the confession, I repeat. Take responsibility, or Ryan sees everything, including the truth about his father's death. Her eyes narrow. You wouldn't. Try me. The door opens again. Ryan stands there, looking older than I've ever seen him. Mom, he says quietly, please. Margaret's composure cracks completely. I did it for you. Everything I did was for yourself. Ryan steps into the room. Dad knew. He tried to stop you, didn't he? That's why. Your father was weak. She slams her hands on the table. He would have ruined everything, our status, our life. Did you kill him? The question hangs in the air like smoke. Margaret's face goes completely white. Ryan, darling, answer the question. His voice breaks. When you forged his death certificate, was he already dead? Or did you... He was going to expose everything. The words burst from her like poison. He would have destroyed us. I had to protect us. I had to... Ryan turns away, shoulders shaking. The detective steps forward with handcuffs. Margaret Thompson, you're under arrest for the murder of Gerald Thompson. I stand, my legs unsteady. This was supposed to be about revenge, about justice for her financial crimes. Not this. Never this. Sawyer! Margaret's voice stops me at the door. You think you've won? You think this makes you better than me? I turn back. No. It makes me different from you. That's enough. Outside the interrogation room, Ryan leans against the wall, tears streaming down his face. When he looks at me, I see something I've never seen before. Freedom. The divorce papers, he says. Do you still have them? I nod. Good. He straightens up. Because I need to start over, without her shadow, without her lies. Ryan. Thank you, he cuts me off, for showing me the truth, even when I didn't want to see it. The detective emerges, leading Margaret away. She holds her head high, but her eyes tell a different story. The story of a woman who destroyed everything she claimed to protect. As they pass, she whispers, Karma's a patient enemy, dear. I watch them disappear down the corridor, Ryan's words echoing in my mind. Starting over. Maybe that's what this was always about. Not revenge, but resurrection. The chance to build something new from the ashes of necessary destruction. I pull out my phone, text Emma. It's done. Because sometimes the greatest revenge isn't in destroying someone else's life. It's in reclaiming your own. The cream-colored handbag sits on my desk at the bookshop, price tag still attached. Margaret's final purchase request, the one that started everything. Emma watches as I lift it, feeling its weight one last time. What are you going to do with it? She asks. Through the shop window, autumn leaves scatter across the sidewalk. The store's been closed for inventory, but really, I needed space to sort through more than just books. Return it, I say, placing it in a shopping bag. Some things aren't worth keeping. My phone buzzes, a text from Ryan. Signed the papers, they're with Caleb. Simple words marking the end of a complicated story. I don't reply. The website launches tomorrow, Emma says, changing the subject. She pulls up our new digital storefront on her laptop. Online rare book sales. Who knew your obsession with first editions would turn into this? I manage a smile. Better than offshore accounts. The bell above the door chimes. Caleb enters, holding a manila envelope and a newspaper. Thought you might want to see this, he says, handing me the paper. The headline reads, Local teacher pleads guilty in fraud case. Below it, a smaller headline, Murder investigation ongoing. She took the deal? Emma asks. 20 years. Caleb sets the envelope on my desk. The divorce papers are inside, and something else, from Gerald's safe. I open the envelope, pull out an old leather journal. Inside, Gerald's handwriting fills the pages with dates, amounts, observations. But on the last page, there's a letter addressed to Ryan. Have you read it? I ask Caleb. He shakes his head. That's not my place. I text Ryan. Found something of your father's. Your choice if you want to see it. His response comes quickly. Bring it to the lake house tomorrow? You don't have to go, Emma says. Yes, I do. I tuck the journal away. Some stories need proper endings. Caleb picks up the shopping bag with the handbag. I'll return this for you. No, I take it back. I need to do it myself. After they leave, I walk through my shop, running fingers along book spines. Each volume tells a story of survival, of change, of consequences. Like the rare first editions I've collected, some things become more valuable after weathering time and trauma. My phone buzzes again. A message from an unknown number. Margaret. Karma works both ways, dear. Remember that. I delete the message without responding. She's right, in her way. Karma does work both ways, but so does healing. The shop bell chimes again. A teenage girl enters, looking lost. Can I help you? I need a book, she says hesitantly. Something about starting over. I study her face, young, but with old eyes, like Ryan's, when he finally saw the truth about his mother. I think I have just the thing. I lead her to a shelf, pull down a volume. Not a first edition, but something better. A story about redemption, about building something new from broken pieces. How much? She asks. Take it, I say. Sometimes we all need a new story. After she leaves, I pick up my phone, type one last message to Ryan. I'll bring the journal tomorrow, not for closure, for understanding. His reply comes as I'm locking up. Thank you, for everything. I place the handbag in my car's trunk, next to a box of Gerald's journals. Tomorrow, I'll return one and deliver the other. Two endings, neither quite what I expected when this all began. Because revenge isn't always about destruction. Sometimes it's about reconstruction, about taking broken truths and building something honest from the pieces. I start my car, watching the bookshop's lights dim in my rearview mirror. Margaret's words echo in my mind. Karma works both ways. Yes, it does, but so does freedom. And sometimes the best revenge isn't in getting even, it's in getting free. I pull away from the curb, leaving the shadows behind. Ahead, the street stretches out, empty and full of possibility. Like a blank page, waiting for a new story to begin. Not a story of revenge anymore. Just mine. Ew.
The leather binding crackled as I opened my mother's journal, each page a pristine testament to her obsession with control. I shouldn't have been in her study, shouldn't have been rifling through her desk drawer, but something about the way she'd been whispering with Dad about Madison's engagement had set off alarm bells. I'm Taylor, and I've spent 26 years being the family disappointment, the rebellious twin, the one who couldn't quite measure up to precious Madison's achievements. But what I found in those pages changed everything. Project, Daughter's Futures. Read the first entry, dated back to when Madison and I were just 12. The neat, precise handwriting laid out every detail of our lives, like battle plans. Schools we'd attend, careers we'd pursue, even the types of men we'd marry. Next to Madison's name, law school, partnership track, marriage to established professional by 25. Check, check. And with Lucas in the picture, nearly check. Next to mine, medical school, Johns Hopkins preferred, residency at Father's Hospital, marriage to Dr. James Carlton's son. My hands trembled. Dr. Carlton's son had died of an overdose 3 years ago, but that wasn't the point. The point was that every choice I'd thought I'd made for myself had been orchestrated, manipulated, planned. Taylor? My mother's voice carried up the stairs. Are you up there? I snapped the journal shut, my heart hammering against my ribs. Just looking for my old yearbook. The lie tasted bitter on my tongue. Well, come down. Your sister has wonderful news about the wedding plans. Of course she does. Perfect Madison, following the script to the letter. I shoved the journal into my bag, refusing to return it to its prison. Coming! Downstairs, Madison sat perched on the edge of the antique sofa, her engagement ring catching the light. Mother hovered nearby, beaming with pride, while Dad stood by the fireplace, looking every bit the distinguished professor in his tweed jacket. Lucas's law firm is offering him junior partner, Madison announced, her smile not quite reaching her eyes. We're thinking of moving the wedding up to accommodate his new schedule. Wonderful news, darling! Mother clasped her hands together. Everything's falling into place exactly as we'd hoped. I couldn't help but laugh, the sound sharp and ugly. They all turned to stare at me. Something amusing, Taylor? Dad's voice carried that familiar note of disapproval. Just thinking about how convenient it all is, I said, my fingers brushing against the journal in my bag. How everything in this family seems to follow such a perfect little plan. Madison's smile faltered. What's that supposed to mean? Nothing. I stood up, unable to bear another minute of this performance. I need to meet Bryce. That artist? Mother's lip curled slightly. Really, Taylor? Don't you think it's time to focus on more serious prospects? The weight of the journal seemed to burn through my bag. You'd know all about that, wouldn't you, Mother? About choosing the right prospects? Taylor, Dad warned, but I was already heading for the door. Don't worry, I called over my shoulder. I'm sure everything will work out exactly according to plan. Outside, I pulled out my phone and texted Bryce. Need to see you, found something. Everything's been a lie. As I walked to my car, I could feel their eyes on me through the window. They had no idea what I'd discovered, no clue that their carefully constructed house of cards was about to come crashing down. Let them think I was just being difficult, rebellious Taylor acting out again. They'd learn soon enough. The journal weighed heavy in my bag, but not as heavy as the realization that my entire life had been a carefully orchestrated manipulation. Well, if they wanted to play puppet master, they were about to learn that some puppets cut their own strings. I started the engine, my mind already racing with possibilities. They thought they could write our stories? Fine. But this time, I'd be the one holding the pen. Bryce's gallery buzzed with the kind of energy my family would call beneath their station. Paint-splattered jeans mixed with designer suits, laughter echoing off exposed brick walls. I clutched my wine glass, savoring every second of missing my parents' precious charity gala. You're thinking too hard again, Bryce said, sliding an arm around my waist. His fingers left invisible paint marks on my black dress, and I loved him for it. The journal? Among other things. I watched a woman in a sequined jumpsuit praise one of his abstract pieces. Mother's already called 4 times. Apparently, I'm embarrassing Madison on her special night. The engagement party isn't for another 2 hours. You could still make it. I pulled out my phone, showing him the latest text from Madison. How dare you abandon me like this? Mother's beside herself. Is this revenge for something? If she only knew. Your sister sounds charming as ever, Bryce said, taking my glass and setting it aside. Come on, I want to show you something. He led me through the crowd to a canvas I hadn't noticed before. The piece showed 2 identical faces, one cracking like a porcelain mask to reveal wild colors underneath. My throat tightened. Is that you and Madison, or how I see you anyway? His eyes searched my face. The series is called Breaking Free. My phone buzzed again. Father this time. Your absence is noted and will be discussed. This behavior is unacceptable. They're going to lose their minds when they see this, I said, gesturing to the painting. Good. Bryce squeezed my hand. Maybe it's time they saw the real you. The gallery door chimed, and my heart stopped. Madison stood in the entrance, her designer dress and perfect makeup looking absurdly out of place. Lucas hovered behind her like an expensive shadow. Taylor! Her voice carried across the room. We need to talk. I met her halfway, aware of every eye in the gallery on us. Shouldn't you be at the gala? Shouldn't you? Her smile was razor sharp. Mother's telling everyone you're sick with food poisoning. I'm supposed to be picking up medication for you. How considerate. What's going on with you? She lowered her voice. First the scene yesterday, now this. And what's that painting supposed to be? Art is open to interpretation, I said sweetly, though I suppose you'd need an original thought to manage that. Lucas cleared his throat. Madison, we should go. Your father will be furious, she finished. I know. Taylor, please, just come with us. We can fix this. I thought of the journal in my bag, of years of carefully planned manipulation. Fix what exactly? The fact that I'm not following the script? What script? You're not making sense. Ask Mother about her project, the one about our futures. I watched the confusion cross her face. Or, better yet, ask Lucas if he knows about the arrangement Mother made with his father 3 years ago. Madison's perfect mask slipped for just a second. Lucas shifted uncomfortably. "You're trying to ruin everything," she whispered. "Why?" "No, Madison. I'm trying to save us both." She grabbed my arm, fingers digging in. "Come home, now, or I'll tell them about the night you—" "Everything okay here?" Bryce appeared at my side, his casual tone belied by the tension in his shoulders. Madison released me, smoothing her dress. "Family matter, nothing that concerns you." "Actually," I said, "it concerns everyone in this room. Your newest painting series is going to be quite the talk of the town, isn't it, Bryce?" "Taylor," Madison warned, "the opening's next week. You should all come." I smiled, watching the realization dawn in her eyes. Mother would love to see herself immortalized in oils. All those secrets, right there on canvas. Madison took a step back, pulling Lucas with her. "You wouldn't." "Wouldn't I? You know, sister dear, maybe you should read Mother's journal before deciding whose side you're on. It's quite illuminating about your perfect relationship here." They left without another word, the door chiming behind them like a warning bell. "That was intense," Bryce said, watching them go. "You okay?" I picked up my abandoned wine glass, draining it. "I will be, once they realize they can't control me anymore." But as I watched Madison's car pull away, I couldn't shake the feeling that I'd just lit a fuse that would blow our entire family apart. And honestly, I couldn't wait for the explosion. The coffee shop buzzed with morning regulars when Madison slipped into the seat across from me, her designer sunglasses failing to hide her red-rimmed eyes. 3 days had passed since the gallery incident, and her perfect facade was starting to crack. "I read it," she whispered, sliding Mother's journal across the table. "How did you get this?" "Does it matter?" I wrapped my hands around my coffee cup, anchoring myself. "What matters is what's in it. Lucas's father approached them last year." Her voice cracked. "Before Lucas ever met me, they planned everything. Just like they planned everything else." I leaned forward. "The question is, what are you going to do about it?" Madison removed her sunglasses, revealing shadows of sleepless nights. "I can't just walk away. Do you know what that would do to Mother, to Father's reputation?" "Their reputation?" I laughed, drawing stares from nearby tables. "What about your life, Madison? Your happiness?" "Some of us care about more than just ourselves, Taylor." But her words lacked their usual bite. A text lit up my phone. Bryce. "Gallery owner loved the new series. Wants to feature it next month." Madison caught the message. "You're really going through with it? The paintings?" "Why shouldn't I? Mother's always saying art should reflect truth." "The truth!" She grabbed my wrist, her nails digging in. "Like the truth about that night in college? When I what?" I yanked my arm back. "When I covered for you? When I took the blame for your drunk driving incident because Mother couldn't bear to see her perfect daughter's record tarnished? I never asked you to do that." "No, Mother did." Another carefully orchestrated moment in her grand plan. I pulled out my phone, showing her the journal entry from that night. "See? She knew exactly what she was doing, binding me with guilt, making me the black sheep so you could shine brighter." Madison's face drained of color. "She wouldn't." "She did. Just like she arranged your perfect marriage to a man who sees you as a business transaction. Lucas loves me. Lucas loves what you represent. Ask him about the merger his firm is planning with Father's university connections. Ask him why he met with Mother 3 times before accidentally running into you at that charity event." Tears spilled down her cheeks, smearing expensive mascara. "Stop it." "Why? Because it hurts? Because it's easier to play your role than face the truth?" I stood up, gathering my things. "The paintings go up next month. Every calculated move, every manipulation, right there on canvas for everyone to see." "Please," She grabbed my hand. We can fix this. Together. I'll help you get back in their good graces. For a moment, I saw us as children again, holding hands against the world. But we weren't children anymore, and I wasn't interested in good graces. There's nothing to fix, Madison. This isn't about getting back in their good graces. It's about breaking free. I pulled my hand away. Maybe it's time you did the same. They'll never forgive you for this. Good. I shouldered my bag. Because I'll never forgive them either. As I reached the door, Madison called out, "What about me? Will you ever forgive me?" I turned back, seeing the desperation in her eyes. That depends. On what? On whether you choose to be their puppet or your own person. Outside, my phone buzzed with a message from Mother. Family dinner tonight, non-negotiable. Your father and I need to discuss your recent behavior. Another text followed. And bring that journal. It's time we had a serious conversation about boundaries and respect. I smiled, thinking of the gallery walls being prepared for next month's show. Mother wanted to talk about boundaries? Perfect. I had a few things to say about those myself. But first, I needed to make one more stop. It was time to pay Lucas's father a visit. After all, if we were going to air the family's dirty laundry, we might as well make it a complete set. Behind me, through the coffee shop window, I could see Madison with her phone pressed to her ear, hands shaking as she dialed. I wondered who she was calling, Lucas or Mother. Either way, the carefully constructed house of cards was starting to sway, and I was just getting started. Bryce's ancient Volkswagen van rumbled down the coastal highway, salt air whipping through the open windows. We'd left the city 3 hours ago, no destination in mind. Just an escape from the suffocating weight of family dinner. Your phone's buzzing again, Bryce said, nodding toward my bag on the floor. Let it. I watched waves crash against rocky cliffs, each mile putting distance between me and Mother's carefully orchestrated world. They can wait. You sure about that? He glanced at me. The gallery opening's in 2 weeks. Maybe we should... Pull over. Something in the distance had caught my eye. An old lighthouse perched on the edge of the world. There. The van crunched onto gravel, and I was out before it fully stopped, climbing the worn path to the lighthouse. Behind me, Bryce called out something about private property, but I kept going. The door was unlocked, a miracle or an invitation, I wasn't sure which. Inside, spiral stairs led up to a room filled with late afternoon light. Dust motes danced in golden beams, and the view stretched forever. Reminds me of your latest piece, Bryce said, joining me. The one with the broken chains. My phone buzzed again. This time, I looked. Madison. Lucas knows about the paintings. He's talking to his father's lawyers. Mother. Your sister is distraught. What have you done? Father. This ends now. Come home immediately. They're trying to stop the show. I handed Bryce my phone. Legal threats. Classic Lucas. Can they? They can try. I traced my finger through years of dust on the window. But they don't know about the photos yet. Photos? I pulled an envelope from my bag, spreading its contents across the floor. Images of Lucas at private meetings with Mother, documented dates and times. Bank statements showing transfers between accounts. A contract draft with Father's university, conveniently timed with the engagement announcement. Jesus, Taylor, Bryce knelt beside me. Where did you get these? Lucas's father's secretary has a conscience, and a hefty bonus in her account now. I gathered the photos back up. Insurance, in case they try to shut us down. My phone lit up with an incoming call. Madison. You should answer it, Bryce said softly. She might surprise you. I pressed accept. What? I told him no. Madison's voice was steady, stronger than I'd heard in years. Lucas, the wedding, all of it. I told him no. The floor seemed to tilt beneath me. What? You were right. About everything. She took a shaky breath. Mother's furious. She says I'm throwing away everything she's worked for, but I can't do it anymore. Madison. I need your help, Taylor. Please. I don't know how to be free. The sun was setting now, painting the lighthouse in shades of fire. Below, waves crashed against rocks with relentless determination. "Where are you?" I asked. "The beach house. The one where we used to hide as kids." A pause. "Mother doesn't know I'm here." I looked at Bryce, who was already grabbing his keys. "Stay there. We're coming." "Taylor?" Her voice cracked. "There's something else. Something in Father's study. About why they're so desperate to maintain these connections. The university, it's not what we thought." "What do you mean?" "Just hurry, please, before they—" The line went dead. "Madison?" Nothing. "Madison! We're 3 hours away," Bryce said, already heading for the stairs. "If we leave now—" "Wait," I grabbed his arm. "What if it's a trap? What if Mother put her up to this?" "Does it matter? She's your sister." I thought of the journal, of years of manipulation and control, of Madison's tears in the coffee shop, of the strength in her voice just now. "No," I said finally. "It doesn't matter." We raced down the lighthouse steps, the photos secure in my bag. Behind us, the setting sun painted everything in shades of warning red. Whatever waited at the beach house, truth or trap, would change everything. My phone buzzed one final time. "Mother. You have no idea what you're about to destroy. Some secrets should stay buried." I switched off my phone and climbed into the van. The lighthouse disappeared in our rearview mirror as we sped toward whatever truth waited at the beach house, and whatever consequences came with it. The beach house loomed before us, dark against the star-filled sky. No lights inside, just the rhythmic crash of waves against the shore. Madison's car sat in the driveway, but something felt wrong. The air was too still, too quiet. "Stay here," I told Bryce, but he was already shaking his head. "Not a chance." The front door creaked open at my touch. Inside, moonlight filtered through dusty windows, casting long shadows across forgotten furniture. Everything exactly as we'd left it years ago, when this place was still our sanctuary. "Madison?" My whisper echoed through empty rooms. No response. Papers scattered across the kitchen table caught my eye. Documents from Father's study. Bank statements, letters, emails printed and highlighted. And there, in the center, a formal complaint filed against the university's research department. "Taylor!" Bryce's voice urgent. "Someone's coming." Headlights swept across the windows as a car pulled into the driveway. I grabbed the papers, shoving them into my bag alongside the photos. "Madison?" I called again, louder this time. In here." Her voice, finally, from the back bedroom. But something in her tone made my skin crawl. I pushed open the bedroom door. Madison sat on the edge of the bed, her face in shadow. Mother stood behind her, one hand on Madison's shoulder. Father emerged from the corner, and Lucas stepped out of the ensuite bathroom. "Well," Mother said, "isn't this cozy?" "What's going on?" I stepped back, bumping into Bryce. "Family meeting," Father said. "Long overdue." "The papers you just picked up," Lucas added, "are confidential university documents. Removing them from campus is a serious offense." Madison wouldn't meet my eyes. "I'm sorry, Taylor. They were already here when I arrived." "You set me up." The realization burned like acid. "We're trying to help you," Mother said. "This vendetta of yours, these paintings, they'll destroy everything we've built." "Everything you've built on lies, you mean?" I pulled out the photos. "Like arranging Madison's marriage to cover up Father's research scandal?" Madison's head snapped up. "What? Oh, didn't they tell you?" I tossed the photos onto the bed. "Ask them about the falsified research data. Ask them why Lucas's firm really needs those university connections." "Enough!" Father stepped forward. "You have no idea what you're talking about." "Don't I? The complaint shows everything. How long before the board finds out?" "Taylor," Mother's voice turned pleading. "Think about what you're doing. This isn't just about us anymore. The scandal would affect Madison's future. Your future." "Our futures?" I laughed. "You mean the futures you planned in that journal? The ones you manipulated us into? The journal was a mistake, she admitted. But everything we did was for you girls. No? I grabbed Bryce's hand. Everything you did was for yourselves. Lucas moved to block the doorway. The paintings can't go public. We're prepared to offer a generous settlement. Move! Bryce's voice was quiet but firm. Or what? Lucas smiled. You'll add assault charges to the theft? Taylor, Madison stood suddenly. Wait, please. She reached for the photos, scanning them quickly. Her face went pale. Is this true? All of it? Mother grabbed her arm. Madison, darling. Don't. Madison jerked away. Just don't. In that moment of confusion, Bryce shoved past Lucas. I followed, clutching my bag of evidence. Behind us, voices raised in argument. Taylor! Father's voice boomed. If you leave now, there's no coming back. I paused at the front door, turning to face my family one last time. Madison stood apart from them now, tears streaming down her face. Mother reached for her, but she stepped away. Good, I said, because I'm done playing your games. We ran to the van, engine roaring to life as Lucas emerged from the house. But he wasn't looking at us. He was staring at Madison, who walked calmly to her own car. As we pulled away, I saw Madison following in her rearview mirror. 2 sets of headlights cutting through the darkness, leaving the beach house and its secrets behind. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. The university board meets tomorrow. Be ready. I looked at Bryce, then back at Madison's headlights behind us. The gallery opens in 2 weeks. He nodded, understanding. Time to show them who you really are. No, I said, thinking of Madison's tears, of Mother's schemes, of Father's lies. Time to show everyone who they really are. The university boardroom felt like a tomb, all polished mahogany and suffocating silence. I sat alone at the massive table, surrounded by empty chairs, waiting. My evidence spread before me like a hand of cards in a game I was suddenly unsure how to play. The door opened. Not the board members I'd expected, but Father. Alone. Where is everyone? My voice sounded small in the cavernous room. There is no meeting. He closed the door softly. Not anymore. The papers beneath my hands trembled. What did you do? What you forced me to do. He stayed by the door, watching me with eyes I'd never seen before. Not angry, just tired. The board chairman received an interesting call this morning. About a disturbed young woman making false accusations. About stolen documents and fabricated evidence. They're not false. You know they're not. The university's legal team has already issued cease and desist orders to every gallery in the city. He pulled an envelope from his jacket. Your exhibition won't be opening. My phone buzzed. A text from Bryce. Galleries locked. Police tape everywhere. What's happening? You can't stop people from seeing the truth, I said, but my voice cracked. The truth. Father finally moved closer. You want truth, Taylor? Here's truth. Madison's missing. Your mother hasn't slept in days. The university's reputation, my life's work, hangs by a thread. And for what? Your artistic tantrum? Don't you dare. Even Bryce's mother called me. That stopped me cold. Diana's worried about him, about the legal consequences he might face as your accomplice. My phone buzzed again. Diana this time. We need to talk about Bryce's future. You got to her. The realization felt like drowning. You got to everyone. We're trying to save this family. He placed the envelope on the table. Including you. Inside was a contract. A position at a prestigious art school in Europe. Full scholarship, living expenses, everything I'd once dreamed of. All I had to do was sign a non-disclosure agreement and leave immediately. Your mother's idea, Father said softly. A fresh start, away from all this. My phone kept buzzing. Bryce again. Police asking questions about stolen documents. Diana says I should get a lawyer. And if I refuse? Then the police have questions about certain stolen documents, about defamation and harassment, about conspiracy to commit fraud. Father straightened his tie. Bryce seems like a nice young man. It would be a shame to see his career ruined before it begins. The walls seemed to close in. Everything I'd fought for, everyone I'd tried to protect, all of it slipping away. You have until tomorrow morning. Father headed for the door. For once in your life, Taylor, think about someone besides yourself. He left me there, surrounded by evidence that suddenly felt worthless. My phone kept buzzing, but I couldn't bear to look anymore. The drive home was a blur. Bryce waited on his mother's porch, looking lost. Diana thinks I should stay away from you for a while, he said before I could speak, until this legal stuff clears up. Bryce. Maybe she's right. He wouldn't meet my eyes. Maybe we moved too fast, got caught up in the rebellion of it all. That's not what this is. Isn't it? Finally, he looked at me. You're fighting ghosts, Taylor, and I'm not sure I can watch you destroy yourself doing it. I reached for him, but he stepped back. Behind him, Diana watched through the window, her usual warmth replaced by something that looked too much like my mother's disappointment. Back in my apartment, I found Madison's engagement ring on my kitchen counter. No note, no explanation. Just that perfect diamond catching the light, throwing accusations across my walls. My phone showed missed calls from numbers I didn't recognize. Galleries canceling, lawyers warning, friends distancing themselves. The last message was from Mother. We only wanted to protect you. From yourself. I stared at my reflection in the window, seeing for the first time what they all saw. Not a warrior for truth, but a destroyer of lives. My family's carefully constructed world lay in ruins, yes, but I stood in those ruins alone. The contract Father had given me sat unopened in my bag. Europe, escape, freedom maybe, but at what cost? My phone buzzed one final time. An unknown number. Some secrets are worth keeping. Some cages are built to protect. Choose wisely. Outside, the city lights blurred through tears I refused to acknowledge. I'd wanted revenge, wanted truth, wanted freedom. Now I had none of them. And tomorrow morning, I had a choice to make. The lighthouse stood sentinel against the dawn, just as it had the day everything changed. I pulled into the gravel lot, Father's contract burning a hole in my bag, and found Madison's car already waiting. She sat on the hood, wearing jeans and a sweater I'd never seen before, nothing like her usual perfect ensembles. Her engagement ring was conspicuously absent. I knew you'd come here, she said. How? Because it's where I came. She slid off the car. 3 days ago when I left Lucas, when I finally understood what you've been trying to tell us all along. The lighthouse door creaked open behind me. Mother emerged, followed by Father. Of course, nothing in our family was ever truly private. Girls, Mother started, but Madison cut her off. I found the original research papers, she said. The ones Father destroyed. I've had copies all along. Father went still. Madison! I kept them as insurance, she continued, in case you ever tried to force me into something I didn't want, like marrying Lucas. Everything we did, Mother began, was for us? I laughed. Like arranging Madison's marriage to cover up Father's fraud? Like planning our entire lives in that journal? You don't understand, Father said. The university's reputation is built on lies, Madison finished. Just like our family. Mother stepped forward, reaching for us both. Please, let's discuss this at home, as a family. We're done discussing. I pulled out my phone, showing them the screen. The paintings are already online. Every gallery in the city might have refused to show them, but the internet is forever. Father's face darkened. You've destroyed everything. No, a new voice said. Bryce emerged from behind the lighthouse, camera in hand. You did that yourself. What is he doing here? Mother demanded. Documenting, Bryce said simply. Every word, every confession, live streaming to the university board right now. Father lunged for the camera, but Madison stepped between us. Stop! Just stop trying to control everything. Madison, Mother pleaded, think about your future. I am. Madison moved to stand beside me. For the first time in my life, I actually am. The contract, Father said suddenly. The art school offer. Take it, Taylor. Both of you. We can fix this. I pulled out the contract, holding it up. Pages of carefully worded silence, of freedom bought with lies. Madison nodded, understanding in her eyes. The paper tore easily, scraps catching in the morning breeze. No more fixes, I said. No more perfect plans. You'll regret this, Father warned. Both of you. Maybe, Madison replied, but at least it'll be our regret, our choice. Mother sank onto the lighthouse steps, her perfect composure finally cracking. What will people say? The truth, I said. For once. Bryce lowered his camera, moving to stand beside me. It's done. The board has everything. Father's phone buzzed. Once, twice, a dozen times. The truth spreading like wildfire through the academic community. His hands shook as he read the messages. What have you done? He whispered. Exactly what you taught us, Madison said, to protect the family name, just not in the way you expected. Mother looked up, tears streaming down her face. You're still our daughters. Yes, I said softly, but we're not your puppets anymore. The sun crested the horizon, painting the lighthouse in shades of gold. Behind us, waves crashed against the shore, the same waves that had witnessed our childhood escapes, our teenage secrets, our adult revelations. Come on, Bryce said quietly. Diana's waiting. She wants to talk to both of you. Madison squeezed my hand. Together, I looked at our parents, Mother broken on the steps, Father staring at his phone as his career crumbled. Part of me wanted to comfort them, to find some way to soften this blow. But sometimes freedom comes at a cost. Together, I agreed. We left them there, in the shadow of the lighthouse, where everything had started. In my rearview mirror, I watched them grow smaller, two figures against the dawn, their perfect world finally, irrevocably shattered. Madison's voice was barely a whisper. Do you think we did the right thing? I thought of the journal, of arranged marriages and planned lives, of cages built with love, but cages nonetheless. I think we did the true thing, I said. Finally. The lighthouse disappeared around the bend, and with it, the last traces of who we'd been forced to be. Ahead lay uncertainty, chaos, freedom. It felt like breathing for the first time. Diana's garden bloomed with wildflowers, untamed and perfect in their chaos. The wedding arch Bryce built stood among them, draped not with traditional white, but with strips of canvas bearing fragments of our story. Paintings that had once meant to expose, now transformed into celebration. Madison adjusted my dress, her hands steady. Mother's car just pulled up. And Father? Still in the driveway, he hasn't decided yet. Through the window, I watched Mother straighten her hat, clutching an envelope I recognized. Her journal, the one that started everything. She looked smaller somehow, less certain of her place in the world. You don't have to do this, Madison said. Yes, I do. I touched the canvas strips, each one a piece of truth we'd fought to tell. Some stories need endings. Mother found us in the garden, her perfect posture at odds with Diana's wild roses. Taylor, Thank you for coming. I took the journal from her trembling hands. I wasn't sure you would. Your father may not. She glanced at the driveway where his car idled. But I needed to give you this. She pressed another envelope into my hands. I found it while packing up your old room. Inside was a child's drawing, two stick figures with wild hair, holding hands against a backdrop of scribbled stars. On the back, in my childish writing, me and Madison being free. You were always trying to fly, Mother said softly. I thought I was giving you wings, but I was just building a prettier cage. Madison touched the drawing. I remember this. We hung it on the lighthouse wall. And now here we are, I said, finally free. The garden gate creaked. Father stood there, looking lost among the unplanned beauty of Diana's flowers. Our eyes met across the space between us, the space filled with broken expectations and painful truths. He took one step forward, then another. Bryce appeared at my side, his artist's hands steady on my shoulders. Everyone's ready. The ceremony wasn't what Mother would have planned. No string quartet, no perfectly coordinated colors. Instead, Diana played her old guitar, and Madison read a poem about butterflies breaking free of chrysalises. The witnesses were a mix of Bryce's artist friends and a few brave souls from our old life who'd chosen truth over appearance. When it came time for family blessings, Father stood. The garden held its breath. "I spent my life," he said, voice rough, "building things that looked perfect on paper. Careers, reputations, family, but paper burns." He looked at Mother, then at Madison, finally at me. "Truth endures, and the truth is, I'm proud of you both, for being braver than I ever was." Mother dabbed her eyes with an immaculate handkerchief. Perhaps we could learn to build something new, something real this time." I looked at Madison, saw my own cautious hope reflected in her eyes. "Maybe," I said. "One day at a time?" The reception spilled across Diana's garden, watercolor sunset painting everything in shades of possibility. I found Madison by the canvas strips, tracing the painted images of our shared past. "Lucas called," she said. "The university board cleared his firm of involvement. He wanted to know if—" "And?" She smiled. Really smiled. The kind that reached her eyes. "I told him I'm applying to art school. Diana's been teaching me pottery." Across the garden, Mother watched us, her perfect mask softened by something that looked like understanding. Father stood beside her, hand tentatively finding hers. They looked smaller, more human, more real. Bryce wrapped his arms around me from behind. "Ready to go?" I touched the canvas nearest us, the lighthouse painting, but altered now. The two faces weren't breaking apart anymore, but merging, finding strength in their differences. "Almost," I said. I took Mother's journal to the garden's fire pit, where Diana kept a small blaze going. Madison joined me, then Mother, then Father. One by one, we tore out pages, not in anger now, but in release. Each page burned away, taking with it the weight of expectations, the burden of perfection. The final page caught the wind, dancing away from the flames. I caught it, recognizing my mother's handwriting. "My dearest daughters." But the rest was blank. Unwritten. "Keep it," Mother said softly. "Some stories need new endings." I folded the page carefully, tucking it away. Not as a reminder of what was, but as a promise of what could be. When truth replaces perfection. When love outweighs control. When freedom means writing your own story. The wildflowers swayed in the evening breeze, untamed and beautiful, just like the life ahead.